Hello, my name's ELPAdog. We're gonna do the Frostborn class today. Hopefully you got to attend some other classes from my peers and fellow class masters, if you will. I've been playing Spellbreak for a long time. I started in October of 2018. That's about 2 years now. I have definitely over 2K hours on just this patch alone on Epic Games. I also really enjoy the competitive side of video games, and especially Spellbreak. Even if I seem small, that's like usually where a lot of my time goes to. And part of that is like pushing the game to like, I don't know, it's like peak, or not peak, like pushing the game as much as you can. So that goes with like classes and too. So for a long time, Frostborn was like not used. It was viewed as like underpowered from the community. One patch they like slightly buffed it, gave it a couple quality of life changes, and I was kind of bored of my main class, so I just picked up Frostborn and just grinded it out super hard. Scrimmed with it every day, played in a tournament, got decent results, so yeah. We're gonna go over everything. We're gonna go over all the class skills, how to utilize them, tech with them, everything like that, elemental interactions, your basic playstyle and your win condition with the class, you know, talents, offhands, runes, all that stuff, and just everything. If you have any gameplay, we can review that too. I actually have some gameplay from some of my viewers that I reviewed in the past of Frostborn gameplay. So hopefully after we go over everything, we can watch that together, and maybe you guys can actually point out stuff that they could have done better, you know, more optimally, more efficiently on the Frostborn class. Would be nice. If we have no questions, we're just gonna go on. We're just gonna explain the Ice Lance right now. The Ice Lance is probably one of the best spells in the game, a very favorited one too. It's basically the sniper of Spellbreak. It functions like a bow, so you need to charge it to get more power and range on it. If you don't, it's kind of like you just tap it. Very light damage, only 24. This is a Leggy Frost Gauntlet. You want to charge it all the way to max. That's 72. Somewhere in the middle, you know, you're gonna have middle damage. You can just see the projectile speed, very different. Very much like a bow. And this is like probably the longest range gauntlet in the game, the spell. But like long range Spellbreak is not like long range in like most other games. Like even just like, what is this? This is like 50 meters. This is like pretty long already. Like this is not a guaranteed shot because it is a projectile. It's not like a hit scan ability like a normal like gun in like other video games. So like even a shot from here is like pretty far. This is like a very long range. Like not many other gauntlets in the game can really contest you at this range besides like other frost users and lightning. So this is like a range you want to play at ideally. Even like a little bit closer, you're still fine too. Like it's very hard for somebody with a fireball or like tox or wind to do anything here. There's always earth, but you know, earth has its limits with the floor. It's kind of the range you want to be comfortable at and play at. Same goes for like vertical wise too, but I don't have a good vertical place to show you on the practice map, but you'll get the gist. One big thing with Frost too, it does have a charge time, right? So even though you are doing big burst damage, you do have to sit here and charge it. So like one quick tip is just to like find cover while you're charging and like peek out, just so you're not vulnerable while you're charging. You don't want to be in like the middle of open field charging if you don't have to. Having some cover is always nice. But yeah, it is a really great option to open for like any fight. Probably one of the best in the game. It's like a quick 60-70 damage is really good to start a fight. Considering the blue belt in the game is only 60 armor, purple belt's only 80. So that's basically all their shield off right there. It's a great way to start a fight. You can always rune in. When we go over Frozen Alacrity, you can always just run in. It's a really nice way to play. Pretty straightforward. But it's sorcery, Flash Freeze, a very maybe misunderstood sorcery, I think, in Spellbreak. I think it was viewed as like one of the worst sorceries in the game for a long time. But I think it's just very hard to use, and it's not very clear on how to use it efficiently, or like you don't get like instant reward like you do for a lot of other sorceries like Firewall, Lightning Strike, you know, Cloud. They all do damage. You're like, okay, I hit damage. Okay, well maybe I don't, but you know, you just hit the enemy, and it's like, okay, I did damage. That's how I use sorcery, right? But even like all those sorceries that do damage, they all have like a layer of utility to them in like defensive aspects. But Flash Freeze is like all utility and all defensive aspects because it does no damage. Oh yeah, Flash Freeze. Okay, Flash Freeze is hard to use. The biggest reason is because it does have like a really slow animation, so you kind of want to avoid this animation. And like you can just see there, you see how like long it takes for the ring to go out. It doesn't. It's not like instant, right? You can't just instantly use it like a firewall and like you'll instantly have protection from like a frost shot. Like if you're getting shot by lightning and you cast it, you'll still get hit by lightning for like a couple little bolts. But there's ways to avoid that. Like, we're gonna use the same tree example. So like startup animation, right? If you know someone's running at you, you can use this cover to like block the animation time, pretty much. Because like during this animation time, you are putting yourself in a very vulnerable state. So if you use like any kind of cover, tree is like a decent example. So someone running at you will still get frozen, right? If they run this way, but you are not stuck in that vulnerable animation state. Here's a pretty decent example from Kamsky on how to use flash freeze. We can watch it super slowly. You can understand. This is a question I get a lot. Like, this is one of my most popular questions I get in my chat. So he knows someone's running at him, right? Someone's running at him up here. He's going to high ground. He knows he has flash freeze up. He doesn't have any other cooldowns up. Those are all down. So flash freeze is the last resort, but he's still going to make the most value out of it as he can. He knows the person wants to rush him for high ground because they know that he is in the HP, right? That's pretty vulnerable already. He's going to cast flash freeze. They're running up to flash freeze. They didn't get to see any of the time when he was in the startup animation. And he's already in there. He gets a big talk slap off. They're chilly, getting the effects of flash freeze, which makes them really slow. Not just slow in speed, slow in every single animation they do. That's a really important factor. He gets a lot of damage off. They are frozen. He gets more damage off. And now he's pretty much even HP with his target. That was like a really, really good example of how to use flash freeze. Hopefully that shows like how you need to like avoid the like the startup animation, you know? Because if you can do that, it's a really nice skill. But yeah, also good examples too. Like if you're in structures too, really quick. Like if you're running this way and someone's trying to run, like follow you, just cast this flash freeze. There's a lot of castles in Spellbreak that have like these doorways like that. People can chase you. If you're having trouble fighting castles, don't be afraid to use flash freeze like that. Get yourself some time and buy yourself some space. But also, we're gonna go over Tundra later, and Tundra just makes it way easier to use flash freeze. You can basically just forget all about that stuff if you're gonna play Frostborn. Because once you get Tundra unlocked, you can just run to people and use flash freeze, kind of like a monkey, and it's great. We kind of went over already, like the ideal range for Frost. Like I said, this medium range, not super long range, because if you go super long range, like I personally am not like a Frost robot. Like I like using like the class part, like the class skills about Frostborn. Like this, even like back here, it's like not consistent. If they're moving and stuff, it's not like dependable. If you are like a Frost robot, go nuts, like play as far as you want away. Like if you want consistent range, like around 40 meters is pretty good for Frost. Okay, we're gonna go over all elemental interactions of Frost now. There are a decent amount. There's some cool ones. A lot interact with like the ice. So I should avoid using flash freeze up close. You should avoid using it up close. Like I said, you can find like a little cover. If you see your enemy is in like a mana recharging state, that's a really good time to use it. If you watch their little hands, like, wow, I still have much mana. Like if they're doing this, they cannot hit you, so that's a really good time to like trade your animations almost. Like you're winding up your flash freeze and they're winding up their mana. But when they're done winding up mana, they're gonna be frozen. That's a really good time to use it up close. That's a good example. That's a really good question though. Thanks, Kamsky. Yeah, I think a lot of people just forget about flash freeze. Like it's a decent part of your kit. Like you should use it. It definitely can save your life sometime. Also, even if you can't even if you don't have a like good place to use cover, if you're getting like swarmed by lightning or something, you can't just cast it to block off some lightning for a second. Like if there's someone's like far away, like all the way over there, casting lightning at you, you're blocking a little lightning. It's just a very nice way to use it. Is there a difference between using flash freeze on the ground rather than in the air? Yes, using flash freeze in the air is really not ideal. If you really have to, then you could go for it. But the problem using it in the air is that it's just floating in the air, so you're not getting really any of the properties up there. You can catch people in the air if you know they're going in the air. So like in an air battle, you can possibly do it. But then also it's hard to like punish somebody up in the air when they're floating, you know. So try to use it on the floor as much as you can. But yeah, I was just saying, like because it's like a wall, right? If you're putting the wall in the sky, you can't really utilize its defensive properties. Especially when you get the Tundra. When you get the Tundra, one of the parts of Tundra is that it doubles its length, right? So that's just 6 seconds of like you basically not getting any of that defensive use out of your sorcery. Flash does not block all spells. It only blocks lightning, fire, and wind, which is half of them. That's a lot. pretty much the opposite of fire. So if you're running Crossfire, you can block like all the spells in the game pretty nice. Let's go over like elemental interactions, because there's a decent amount with Frost. We all know Frost cancels fire pretty much. If someone's throwing a fireball at you as well, if they intercept like in the air, they cancel each other out. Flash Freeze is questionable. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like if you get a shot from above you, you aren't covered. Yeah, you're not covered above you. Okay, yeah, that's a really good point. I should have stressed the ring more. It is just a ring. Under and above you, you are like exposed, really exposed. That's why you gotta like you gotta pay attention to the terrain you're fighting on. Like if I was right here, I would not use Flash Freeze pretty much, because they can just jump up like for like a second and just cast whatever they want on me. Like even if they had fire, which would be blocked by Flash Freeze, they could just jump up and do it. So I really need to watch what terrain you're fighting on. It's like deceptively like longer than it is. Like if you cast it like right here, it will kind of block everything under it too. So keep that in mind if you want. I was surprised by that when I did it for the first time. Kind of nice. Okay, but yeah, back to element interactions. We all know fire gets canceled by frost. It's like vice versa too, especially in the air. You don't need to have alacrity for frost to cancel like a fire puddle. But with alacrity, we'll go over it later. But with alacrity, you'll cancel like more fire. For tox, if you see tox puddles on the floor, you can just shoot ice on them to make them ice puddles. These can get DF'd or dragon fired, sorry. But if no one fires it, then you are just free to skate on it like it's a normal ice trail. If you don't have harmony, these ice trails will just slow you like a normal viscosity puddle from Toxicologist. Yeah, exactly. Only the ring. And it lasts 3 seconds. The normal Flash Freeze lasts 3 seconds. The timing of Flash Freeze, like it is something to like master. Like just try to use it more. Like if you're having trouble using it, just try to use it more. Like I said, like try to make up for like the animation. And don't just like throw it out to like throw it out, you know. Try to like consciously like be like, oh, I'm gonna hit by lightning, let me just use the Flash Freeze real quick to block some of that lightning. The same way like if someone was shooting frost at you, you're gonna use a firewall to block the frost. I try to think of it like that. Or frost and stone. Now let's see if I can do this. You can make a frost boulder. The boulder gets like a little heavier when you shoot it with frost. It will like slightly change its like course and fall a little sooner. But also, if we go over there, there's a like a little pile of ice mist. And if anyone walks in this out of harmony, they will get chilly. I missed the duration, but it's basically like a kind of Flash Freeze icy mist, except it does not have a outer ring that blocks fire, or any of the spells. So if someone's shooting frost and you have a boulder, a really good counter is to just throw the rock at them, and it will make a chilly boulder. They'll also get frozen if they don't have harmony. It's really nice. It doesn't do any extra damage. It's just a chilly factor. Okay, tornado is kind of weird. So like tornado doesn't block frost itself, and it kind of barely affects frost. I'll show you in a second here. So like tornado by itself, it like slightly affects frost if you don't charge it up all the way. You see how it curves, but if you just charge it up, tornado lasts so short. If you just charge it up and shoot, it will like barely affect it. But for example, if that was like a fire nado or like a toxic nado, if we just charge up our frost shot all the way, it like barely affects it. But if it was a fire nado or a toxic nado, those both like stop the ice. I'll try to show you one of them real quick. So it just eats the icicle, kind of like a Tox Cloud, like we eat the icicle, right? Except it just freezes the tornado. And fire, I mean, you can imagine how fireworks, right? Just extinguishes the nado. So yeah, keep that in mind. So unless you're sitting like you're shooting a super like uncharged frost shot, you shouldn't have to worry about tornado until someone throws an element in there. Then it will just block. We'll go over that more in the Tempest matchup, and you'll see how that can actually affect how you play versus the Tempest, depending on what gauntlet they run. Okay, so like Tox Cloud 2, this is a very common one. You'll see this a lot. I think people get confused sometimes when they see these frozen Tox Cloud boogers around the map, but it's just a Tox Cloud getting frozen by ice. Just simple as that. It freezes. This lasts 30 seconds. If you want to refreeze it, you can just shoot another frost at it. Very simple. I'll cover this really quick. This is not like a alacrity or like a frost trail until you throw another frost trail on it. Even if it looks like frost trail, you have to throw a separate alacrity frost trail on it. That's something I wondered for a long time, so hopefully that brings peace in your mind. If you like directly shoot on it too, you can't just shoot over it like a normal like flat surface. You really want to run fast on the cloud. And then of course this is like still like basically a frozen cloud, so you can always blow it up. Lightning and frost don't have too many interactions. The trail is a very obvious one. You shock people on it. It's very quick, very instant, as like all the shocks are. Okay, We were just gonna Frozen Alacrity. Bear with me again. Fortunately, my internet keeps dying. This is actually the worst time, but that's okay. We power through, no problem. Okay, Frozen Alacrity. Make sure you go faster. If you care about the speed, it's 150%. It applies this ice trail. We'll go over more about this ice trail after, but that's pretty basic. Like I said, one of my favorite parts of Spell Break. I don't know if you guys heard this or not while I was disconnected, so I'll just go over it. This is actually like the first ability I saw pretty much Spell Break. The first mechanic I saw. And like ever since I saw like one clip of someone using Frozen Alacrity, I was just kind of hooked. That was 2 years ago. Frozen Alacrity was a little different, but it's still really fun and satisfying to use just to skate around the map. You're just fast. Basically, you just go Wii, you know? Wii is just fun. Alright, next ability. Let's go unlock it. We have Icicle. Icicle basically lets you hover. It lets you hover, and it has a red outline on enemies that are in like your line of sight. So if they're behind a wall, you will not see them. But if they're in your line of sight, it'll give you a nice red outline. It's a very nice quality of life change. So right here, you see that we can't see them through a wall, but right above, nice red outline. Pretty standard. We'll go over why it's good in a moment, but just a basic overview of what the ability is. Okay, next ability. This is like the best ability in the kit, in my opinion, besides maybe Alacrity. Tundra. This really is what made the class like playable for me. Strong class. I basically abused Tundra to the point because no one's very used to like playing against the Tundra. But this just makes it so you're damage immune. So like I was saying earlier in Flash Freeze. No, internet, stop dying. How are we F? Are we alive? Are we alive? I see my bitrate to red. Going? Alright, cool. Okay. Tundra. Make sure you're immune. The immune duration is very short. It's like 0.65 seconds-ish. If you really want to time it. Also really important, it makes your Flash Freeze last way longer. We'll go over why that's really sick later. But yeah, 3 to 6 seconds is a really big jump in buff. People don't really expect that. And last ability is just pretty basic. It's just Ice Prism. It's just a straight up damage buff on your Frost Shot, which is really nice. You do have to wait 0.5 seconds longer. You'll see this little blue crosshair on my screen. I can make it really big if you really want to see. But just a nice little animation. It goes blue, so it's pretty obvious to tell. But yeah, just that 30% damage. Very nice. Makes Leggy Frost go from 72 to 97. 97 is basically half of anyone's HP, no matter what belt they have. So, very nice. Okay, now we're going to go over in depth about all these skills, because that was just a little passive overview. Hit crosshair, oh yeah. Okay, we're going to go over a lot. Okay, so Alacrity seems very simple at first, but it actually has a lot going on for it. We all know you run fast, you have boost acceleration. One of the big things for me and like why it's so fun is it like also decreases your air friction, so you can kind of unless you catch your feet, you can kind of just jump off stuff and you float longer. Like that's a really big distance. People don't really realize how big that is, but if there wasn't like ice here, like all you go is here, you know? The difference between like right here and over there is pretty major, especially when it keeps adding up over time. That's a really big one. Even if you do not sword cancel, if you're not used to that yet, you still get a lot of value from just jumping off an ice from any like elevated surface. Yeah, it's really nice. Another thing, it's really good. We'll go over this more in like the matchups versus like Pyro and stuff, and like Toxicologist. But you can just freeze stuff. Like you don't have to be shooting it like to the side. You freeze stuff. If I shot over it, you freeze stuff, which is really nice. Because wasting a whole Frost Lance sometimes to like shoot something just to freeze it or something, it seems like a lot. So you give you all the leeway there. That is super useful to do in combat. Oh my god, you're so smart, Tacos. Yeah. Hold on, I forgot I fire. So like in combat, if you have a lot of ice trails going, when you go over fight scenarios and stuff, I'll explain this more when I have actually a video to show you. For now, you can kind of picture it. You shoot a frost shot at somebody and you have this trail here. You're running fast at them and they can't really do anything about the trail. So it's just a lot of like freedom for you to run out on the battlefield and you just go faster than them. People just don't expect that kind of speed. It's really nice. Same thing with Firewall 2. Like I said earlier, you extinguish like chunks of it, right? So you can extinguish like 3 chunks at once if you shoot over it. You can extinguish the whole firewall if you want to, if you really get a nice angle. Just just throw away their whole firewall, throw away their whole like 12-second cooldown with one little ice lance. Kind of insane. Also, I don't have Pyromancer on right now, or Ambidextrous on, so you can't see the combust. But trust me, if someone shoots ice, like an ice trail, the combust just goes away. So the pyro players that have 200% combust does not affect you on ice. As long as they shoot ice pretty much directly, as long as you're sitting on ice, basically, you will not get hit by combust. So no getting hit for like 10, 20 damage when the person doesn't even hit you. You're very safe on ice. Ice is your home. As long as you have Harmony. We'll go over that later, though. What else we got? Oh, this is also really big too. In elemental interactions, we kind of saw it earlier. If you have like Tox on the ice and blow it up, it'll create a like DF trail kind of ordeal. Actually, that's not a good example. Let me show you a better example. So, like if you're fighting somebody and there's trails everywhere, you just kind of have to be cautious about this yourself. It's a kind of scary combo. Kind of scary like DF NATO, but like a floor version almost. If someone DFs on your ice trail, it kind of spreads. No, I'm so dumb. Alright, good. There you go. It just spreads everywhere. It's a lot. Because all these tick for 20. It's very scary. If you actually get caught in the middle of that, or you catch someone else in the middle of that, it's a lot of damage. A lot of big elemental AoE damage. Like other obvious things to Alacrity too that you may have thought of. Like, this is not the real map. But like, let's say you wanted to land like far away, but you're scared you're not going to make it in time for the storm. Frozen Alacrity pretty much almost guarantees you're fine. Like any storm rotation. Or like if you don't think you got enough loot to fight, you can always go back into the storm and just go find some more with your Frozen Alacrity, because you are just that much faster. Another big thing too that's underrated and overlooked is that this is like every class pretty much has a movement skill in their kit, like Firefly, Vanishing Mist, Updraft, Bedrock, but those are all unlocked on level 2 of the classes. Frozen Alacrity is on level 1, so even though Frost is probably like the worst class, or Frostborn's like the worst class to fight off drop, you can just run away from everybody pretty much, because no one else has a movement ability like you. So you can just run away, find your own loot, come back when you're comfortable. Very overlooked. Very helpful. That's pretty much, those are all the big things I want to cover for Alacrity. But yeah, you can see there, like it's a very, there's a lot going on in this skill, you know, between distinguishing everybody's abilities, running around, hopping off your trails for more movement. There's a lot going on. It's a pretty stacked skill, even if it seems so simple. Now we'll go over Icicle. Icicle also, like I said, seems very simple and like, I don't know, not like game changing or very big compared to like other skills in other classes, but it's actually really nice. It's just like a really big quality of life update. Oh wait, I forgot. I have nice videos to show you. Okay, wait, before we go over Alacrity, let me show you some like examples real quick. Sorry, I'm a bad teacher. So like, this is just an example. This is just an example of like freezing something non-directly. Like I can just quickly freeze that Toxicologist cloud and it's just gone. They cannot use it again. They cannot Vanishing Mist again. That cuts off a big part of their kit. Here's another example of Alacrity. This is more of a movement aspect of Alacrity. So even right there, I'll slow it down and we'll go over it again. Like I'm just going back and forth on my ice to be unpredictable for them to shoot me. They miss their frost shot off that. I get to use a pot. They miss their boulder. Also, I'm fighting another Frostborn. Keep that in mind too. So there's more trails around, but I create these trails on this house. I missed my frost shot unfortunately, but at least there's still a trail for me. We can use these trails to run and just run at them pretty much. Like this distance, it seems so like small. I feel like people don't notice it, but like this is basically like a dash or shadow step length of distance. But you don't have to waste your rune. I have a flight here that I didn't even touch the whole fight. I can just run at them with trails. That's a really good example of closing distance with Alacrity in like close quarters combat. That's a question I get asked a lot too about Frostborn. Is like when to go in, and when the frost trails are like right for you to go in, you can go in, no problem. Oh, here's a really good example of like just how much you can freeze. 2 clouds here on 2 different planes would take like a non-Frostborn player 2 different frost shots. You can just shut them both down with a one quick ice lance with alacrity. Maybe I missed a sense on. Maybe I missed a shot on purpose. Okay, to show the trail. Here's a good example of if you're fighting someone using a firewall. He knows that I'm charging ice at him, right? So he's gonna place his firewall, and he wants to pot up behind the firewall because he thinks he's safe. You'll see he's taking a pot now, but I'm just slowly ticking away at his firewall. It's all gone. Now he's like, oh, I have to run away now. I can't pot. So that's just an example of like what it does in combat. Here's another really good example. Like we saw in earlier clips too, you can pot. You can like use your potions while you're running on alacrity. It's a really nice way to mix up your movement and try to reset real quickly. You see that I had a really failed initiation there, but I'm using alacrity. Just going back and forth, confusing them, mixing up the movement, getting a bunch of potions off, and it lets me turn the fight and keep me alive. So like really quickly, we'll go over that again. I started the fight off terribly, but because I have alacrity and I can use potions on the trails, I'm able to get so much HP off in like an open area. Keep that in mind, right away. There's no cover for me to like hide behind. I'm just basically using the movement from alacrity trails. Oh no, I'm sorry. But yeah, you guys saw the clip. As I was saying too, this is super small, and I don't know if you guys appreciate this kind of stuff, but like, when you're playing alacrity, you just feel like so smooth when you're running around the map. Like just hitting this little turn, it's like so small and maybe so stupid to some of you, but like this kind of stuff just makes me feel like so. You just feel so cool, you know, when you hit this kind of movement. And like I am running away from somebody, right? So somebody normally coming at this is like so like advanced, right? But somebody thinks I'm running out of this thing, they're gonna assume I'm on this floor, right? They're not gonna expect me to be on the staircase. So if they run out this doorway or they shoot above, I could always go under. Oh wait, I have an epic pen. Hold on. Where's my pen? Okay. If I run out this door, wait, no. Oh, full screen. If I run out this door, they're gonna assume I'm down here, right? Oh, my arrow. They're gonna assume I'm down here on the floor, right? So it's really huge that I go on the stair, because they won't be looking there. If they're above me, they won't be looking there. Or if they do look there, I can always go under here for more cover, right? Because we know there's a roof here. Like that kind of stuff people just aren't used to playing against alacrity. So it just comes up big in like a bunch of small scenarios. Even if it's not as obvious as like, I don't know, like a flash freeze or something. Not a flash freeze, sorry. A vanishing mist. Or like an extra rune you get from conduit. It can do a lot of work for you. Micro movements, yes, good wording, tacos. You're almost like you're a teacher or something. Here's just an example. Don't mind the missed frost shots, that's okay. This is an example of just moving around in frost. If you were to sword cancel, we can go over sword canceling later. You guys are curious about that, but it's just the distance you cover. Like this whole time I don't waste my rune. Well, I don't have my rune up, so I just run at them. I'm able to travel from here. Oh, I have a pen. I'm able to travel from here, from this distance to this distance, with no rune, at a very quick speed, at like a rune speed, basically. You're not always gonna get that big value out of the movement, but you'll get like a bunch of small ones, and that does just add up, you know? Instead of having like one big major movement, you have a bunch of small movements. That's pretty much all the alacrity examples I have for you guys. Hopefully that makes some sense. You can see how valuable alacrity can be. Okay, next we're gonna go over icicle, alright? Icicle, again, like alacrity, seems very basic. A lot of people, like, I know when they think about changing Frostborn, they want to remove icicle. But it's just such nice quality of life change to the class. It's really nice. I played so much Frostborn, so when I don't play Frostborn and I go back to like another ice gauntlet, like you can be so lazy. Like you just prime ice, you see targets. Like it's so nice to just do that. It's like it's such a nice quality of life boost. But other than that too, you hover on it, right? And that seems like dumb too. I feel like it gets a bad rep. I feel like a lot of people see like Frostborn users. Maybe it's changed, but in the past at least, before I think people realized what you could do with it and like how it's good. Maybe before a certain guide came out, I don't know. A lot of people just like hover in the sky, kind of like a sitting duck in the air. Like this is definitely one way to use Frostborn or Icicle. But you're just sitting duck in the air, you know? But I think a lot of people don't realize for Icicle is that it carries your momentum when you actually are hovering. So even off a trail, it'll do it. You see how far you go? So I went all the way over here from that ledge. That's like a lot of distance just from alacrity. And like stuff like that. It's like so. Oh, sorry, I need water. When you move like that, and you don't just sit in the air, it can be very nice. Like I said, same with alacrity. It's like micro positioning, micro movements. It'll carry your dash momentum too. Also, fun fact: you slide farther than you would with sword canceling or holding your sorcery. So if you were gonna like jump off ice trail and hold your sorcery, you slide farther if you were to use, or just hold like down an icicle. That's huge, yeah. Yeah. Just try not to just think of it as like go in the air and just snipe down. It's way more fun to use it. Just hold yourself. Also, keep in mind, Spellbreak, like it's a very diverse map with a lot of diverse terrain. So you like being able to not fall like while you're fighting somebody is really big. Especially if you think about if you're fighting a Stone Shaper, but just in general, like holding high ground in Spellbreak is very huge for you. Especially as an ice sniper shooting down, it's just always easier. So if you're able to like not fall, it's really nice. Let's go to like a high point of this map so I can show you an example. Like if I'm fighting somebody down there, but let's say they're like behind this tree, right? So I want to go over here to try to get a shot off, but I don't want to give up my high ground, right? If I didn't have Icicle, I would just drop to the floor. Like it's so small and like, but that's such a nice boost to the class, like quality of life wise. Hopefully that makes sense. I get a couple clips to hopefully show you. We're skating around on the alacrity, looking for targets. Sitting on high ground, getting alacrity. Oh yeah, okay. This is like for the targeting. I definitely would not have seen this person all the way in this house. Like I don't know, that's definitely 100+ meters away. That's definitely like 200 meters away. Yeah, like they're so far. I definitely would not have seen them if I just wasn't skating around with Icicle or with alacrity, because they are so far. I basically also after this, I don't have the clip after this, but I just ran at them and fought them. But it's really nice to have that information. So it's not just for like a little quality of life in the middle of your fight. Especially when you're playing a BR, like information is really big. Very important. You can know where like every enemy is, as many as you can. It's very nice too. This next example of me being able to sit in this tree so nobody can see me and get the snipe off. Also with their little red outline, I can see them better in the tree. It's very nice. Also there's a lot of there's a lot of elemental stuff, like a mess on the floor. So me not having to be there is very nice too. Shout out Icicle for keeping me in that tree. It's just very nice. And you can imagine finding a Stone Shaper too. I wish I had clips to show you, but you can imagine Icicle being very nice. Not having to fall on the floor to charge your ice shot is very big. And just picture like all the different terrain on this Spellbreak map, all the mountains, castles, everything. Not having to like fall off that and go for ice shots is just super nice. But yeah, hopefully that convinces you on Icicle. Just remember, you slide with it. Carries a little momentum. Very nice. And the red outline's super nice too. A quick tip too, like if you're in a game and you have no enemies around you, just really quickly just like scan around with Icicle and try to see if you see red outline just anywhere. You can find a lot of people like that. Just like free tracking. Any questions so far on Icicle or Alacrity? Because I know I went over a lot, and I might have talked too fast, and yeah, I feel like those sometimes people have hard times understanding those like concepts of the class skills. So Icicle slide similar to electric slide. That'd be cool. But yeah, kind of think of like Alacrity plus Icicle is like Frostborn's movement. Like those two have really good synergy with each other. When I realized like that they could slide together, like it was just so nice. Like it's so small, but it's just it can be so impactful in the game. Wolfblood Icicle, yeah, sure. So Icicle, you can't see through walls. You can already see here. I only see the head of this person because it's in my line of sight. If I had Wolfblood, I would see through walls. Also, I believe Wolfblood, or your teammates can see Wolfblood, or is that just tracking? Can someone correct me on that? So like through this rock, I cannot see this enemy. If I had Wolfblood, they show up right there. Also, Icicle has no range. It's just basically a render distance. So I could go like miles away and I would still see this little red dot like a mile away. Wolfblood has a... I don't know what the range of Wolfblood is. Actually, we could figure it out if we really wanted to, but you can go miles away and still see your target with Icicle. Even through this tree, you can kind of see the little red. You saw in that last skip too. They were a mile away and I still saw them. The big difference is just not wall hacks. You don't have wall hacks with Icicle. It's just an outline on enemies in your line of sight. That's a good question though. Thank you. If everyone understands those two and the stuff I went over, we can go over Tundra. Tundra, like I said earlier, is like the almost bread and butter of this class. Really allows you to play it. It gives you immunity at the start. It's very short, but it's very, very huge. It frees up a lot of using flash freeze. Like we went. Okay, Tundra. Thanks for being with me. Thank you. Okay, Tundra, the level 3 ability. Tundra is actually so impactful that a lot of times I will wait for Tundra. I'll show you some clips of what it's like to fight without Tundra and with Tundra, the big difference it makes. But yeah, it's kind of like the power spike of Frostborn. I know you'd probably think that the last ability, Ice Prism, is the power spike because you literally get more damage, but Tundra really allows you to take more fights and it enables you to fight a lot more targets. You're just way more free with Tundra. Tundra really gives Frostborn something that no other class has in the game. It's like really strong defensive tool that is very hard to counter, and possible to counter for a lot of people unless they have Harmony. But Harmony is not very in the meta right now, so yeah. And it's not impossible to fight people without Harmony, so. But yeah, like I said, gives you the, I don't know how many times I cut out, but it gives you the damage invincibility at the start. It's about 0.5 seconds. It's not instant, but it's really, really close to after you cast it. So you're probably fine. Don't have to worry about that too much. Yeah, so you won't be punished. And it also increases the duration. So it's 6 seconds instead of 3 seconds. That is bigger than it sounds. 6 seconds is a long time. When people are used and conditioned to like a flash freeze only lasting 3 seconds, they're not expected to last 6 seconds. Let's go over some clips now. Sorry, I won't skip through. That's a bad habit. Bad habit. It's a nice little castle fight. We know we're fighting a Pyromancer because they have Conflag. And I literally just fly at them because we know we have Tundra. What's really important to with Tundra is you want to kind of check, like I said earlier, Harmony does a lot of work against this one ability because they won't get frozen. That's kind of what you're banking on. But you can kind of Harmony check people. So you see I hit them. See, I personally know that Corrosion does 4 damage per tick. So if it always hits for 4, that means they don't have Harmony. If they have Harmony, it will hit for 3. Even if that's like 3 point something, it will hit for 3. We don't have Harmony, which means I'm pretty much free game to launch at them with Tundra, and they can't really do anything. We know they're half HP, so we go in for another slap. Another slap. With Tundra, they can't do anything. Yeah. It eats their fireball. Very nice. If they have Harmony, you would not fly at them. But if you know they don't have Harmony, then you can't fly at them. The Megaverse typing. So yeah, a big part also of Tundra is trying to Harmony check people. Yeah, like I said, there's 2 ways to harmony check people. You can know the damage of like the normal damage of most of your spells, and that's not too hard to know. Like I said, corrosion hits for 4. So if you see a 3, that means they have harmony or they're a Tempest player. Those are the only 2 options for damage mitigation in the game at the time. So yeah. Also, one of those things, or both those things too, they'll show a little purple arrow next to the damage number dealt. Maybe I have an example here, but you guys should know what I'm talking about. If you need someone with harmony, there's a small little purple arrow facing downwards, signifying that they do have damage mitigation. So they probably have harmony as well. How much value Frostborns get out of Tundra with the knowledge pot? They get a decent amount of value. It depends, I think, on the rest of your team. If you don't have like a conduit player or a tox player, I think actually giving it to a Frostborn is really not that bad at all. But if you have the other 2 classes, I'd definitely give it to them. Tundras are very scary. I don't know if I don't actually know. I don't think I have any clips prepared for showing how good the knowledge pots are with Tundra. But you can imagine just having 3 giant circles of immunity is really scary. It's really almost impossible to lose a fight too if you have all those circles and you're fighting somebody, because you can really just sit on their face and immune everything. So yeah, it's very strong. I think top 3, I would say, because you also are usually running Cloud offhand. Cloud's pretty nice, so sweet to throw around. Okay, that was one example. We have more. This is a really small example. We see we're in an open field, and I'm getting frost sniped at somebody. By somebody, sorry. Not at somebody. So I blocked their frost shot with a Tundra, just immune the damage straight up. And then also, I'm going to throw a Cloud to create a wall. Unfortunately, my teammate did get in the way, so it does not create the wall, but you can kind of get the picture. If you are going to Tundra and then throw a Cloud, oh my god, I did this in a terrible spot. You throw. Hold on. Let's retake that. Let's retake that. It's okay, Mega. That's okay. Be Tundra and then throw a Cloud. It instantly freezes that Cloud as long as there's nothing in the way. Yeah, this is a lot of cover for you. That's what I was trying to do in that last clip. My teammate was in the way, but you kind of get the picture I was trying to show. Hi, Andros. Feel free to ask any questions you want. So right now, this is a Frostborn Academy class. I'm somewhat of an expert in the Frostborn class in this game. So I am teaching a course on how to play the class and like basically what the class does. Everything from like what talents to use, what runes to use, how the class skills work, how you can get the most value out of all the class skills, secret little tech you can do, class matchups, where to go over all that stuff. If you want to see like the past ones too, you can click on the pinned message in this Discord channel, and you can see all the other classes before mine, because mine is towards the end. They've already done Stone Shaper, Tox, Pyro, and Tempest. All good watches. Here's an example of just the sheer length of the Tundra extension, catching someone off guard. Like I said, people really expect flash freeze to only be 3 seconds, so they kind of are conditioned to just like walk in that area after 3 seconds, because that's just what they're used to playing around, right? So I cast flash freeze here to just immune a fireball, and I run away. And a normal flash freeze would have been gone by now, but since it's a Tundra, they fall right back into it, and they actually end up freezing themselves. I should mention too, and I think you may have got a theme here too, like Tundra gets a lot of value. You can get multiple different areas of value from like one Tundra. It can do so many things. I would have called myself a pro player, but yeah, I've played the game for a while. This is a good example of just getting someone's face with Tundra. Like I said earlier, someone asked earlier, should I use Flash Freeze at close quarters? Flash Freeze close quarters is very odd. It's very hard to use close quarters, but Tundra, you can just use freely close quarters because, like I said, damage reduction is so huge. It's just like it's I don't want to say easy, but it's whiskey in this person's face. We mean their frost shot. We're in their face. 3 slaps. It just makes the class like so much easier to play. You know, you don't have to be like a prodigy with frost to play Frostborn if you play and rely on Tundra a lot, which is why I really enjoy it, because I'm not a frost prodigy, like a frost gauntlet. Some people are walking frost gauntlets and that's really cool. I'm not one of those people. But yeah, the Tundra is really good is because let's say you're fighting somebody, you can slap them, freeze them while they're getting chilly. That's another slap, and while they're frozen, that can either be a fully charged ice shot depending on your timing, or another frost slap. If you want to get a lot of value, this is kind of risky to go for sometimes. It really depends on if you know the freeze timings. You can get a frost shot and a slap off really quickly. That is ridiculous amounts of damage. That can be like almost 150 damage, and that is really insane off one freeze. But like I said, that's really risky because you have to know the timings of the freeze and everything. But if not, you just keep slapping them. That's like 2-3 slaps, and that's still like almost 100 damage, if not more if you get 3 slaps off. So that's why I really say like Tundra really opens the class up. You don't need to be so insane with frost. You can just use Tundra and get good slaps off and get good Tundra timings. It's really big. Oh yeah, and just anyone watching the stream, by the way, we are all chatting in the Frostborn Academy class chat in the Discord. I don't even have the YouTube chat open, so sorry if you are asking questions over there. I cannot see them. But yeah. Okay, here's an example of what it looks like without Tundra. This is me just playing, and I forget that I don't have Tundra because it's such an early circle. By the way, keep in mind this is like first circle. You can't see that, but trust me, it's the first circle. I mean, you'll see when I use my flash freeze, but I'm avoiding stone. The runes again. I fly in. I missed a lot of stuff, but if I had Tundra here, I would have immune this Earth Strike, right? And they would get chilly, and I could hit them with Tox twice, and they would die. But because it's early game, I don't have Tundra, and I just die instantly. So keep in mind, like getting used to Tundra is really good. Just make sure you have Tundra. It's very important. Flash freeze and Tundra are like not the same scale. They're very different. You cannot use them in the same way, or you get punished for it really hard. All these academy classes, if you look at the pinned message, they all like start by going over like really basic stuff like the class skills and the class spell, and then they ease their way into like more advanced stuff. So I think it's a good watch for new players. I would suggest watching one of the previous ones if you want, because if you do think you're really new, you could stick around here for sure. But if you want to catch like a different class one, you can watch any of the other ones. There's a stone one, there's a pyro one, tempest one, tox one. But yeah, like I said, make sure you have Tundra. Don't be using flash freeze like Tundra. It just won't work. The damage immunity is really crucial. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Early circles, like I said, wait till level 3. Or else you will get punished really hard, and you will really quickly leave the game. Hopefully that gives you an idea how to use Tundra. I could just sit here all day and show you clips of me just Tundring people and catching them. Hopefully you get the concept. We will show you more clips too when I get into class matchups. That's where I have a lot of clips set up. Hopefully that makes sense. Basic habit though is like, I'm gonna go over the offhand too, but my favorite offhand is the toxic offhand, and because it lets you hit people while they're being frozen. So, tox slap, catch them while they're getting chilly, another tox slap, and one final one while they're fully frozen. That's just really so much damage. That's really hard to avoid for somebody. Even if you only get 2 frost slaps off that, or it's like, I don't know, 2.5, or you know, 1 and 2 halves, like it's still a lot of damage. And most importantly, it's easy confirmable damage. I think a lot of people have a hard time maybe getting like really insane shots off for aiming in Spellbreak. But if you can just set yourself up for easy damage, you can just do easy damage. Just freeze them. They can't move. Free damage for you. Yeah, Andres, we actually went over all the basic we actually went over the basics of all the interactions and class skills of Frostborn earlier. Yeah, it does suck you missed the first half. But like I said, if you want to watch the other classes, we go over everything. My stream has unfortunately been cutting out because I have internet issues, so it's kind of hard to watch my previous, like go back in the stream and watch it. But like any other classes, like feel free to watch those. Those are all I've skipped through those two myself and watched them, so we all follow like a similar format. Okay, last skill, Ice Prism. Ice Prism is pretty simple. There's really not much going on about Ice Prism. It's just a damage buff. It's a lot of damage. Like I said, if you have Leggy Ice, this is 97 damage, as you've been seeing me hit people 97. That's a lot of damage. That is half anyone's HP, pretty much, except for like Stone Shaper or Vigor players now. But it is a lot of damage. And the only thing you really need to know about Ice Prism is that because you have to wait longer, make sure you're not missing out on frost shots just because you want to get the Ice Prism off. It's still better to go for like a 70 ice shot or a 60 ice shot than it is to go for no ice shot, you know. So you're not always giving up the ice shot for this big Ice Prism, because sometimes enemies will just have their cooldowns up again. They can have their rune up to rune away. They'll have like a firewall to block your ice shot, then you really can't do anything. Or they'll just go behind cover and you can't frost shoot them anymore. So keep that in mind. The big number is nice, but don't always chase the big number. What else? That's pretty much everything with the class skills. Any questions for anything before we go over? I'm gonna go over like your basic way to play Frostborn and how most fights will play out, and then we'll look into class matchups. But if anyone has any questions right now, feel free to shoot them in the Frostborn Academy class chat in the Discord. Okay, we're actually, sorry, I take that back. We're gonna go over offhand first, and then we'll go over the class play style. Should you always go for Ice Prism shots? Great question, Tacos. You shouldn't always go for Ice Prism shots. Like I said, it's very nice to see the damage buff, but you don't ever want to give up an ice shot for a bigger ice shot. You know what I mean? So if you try going for like a 90 damage ice shot and you can't hit the target anymore because they end up hiding somewhere, that's really bad because you just went for like a normal 60, 70 ice shot. So it's just kind of knowing like the control for yourself, and being able to read the situation and knowing, can the enemy get out of the situation? Do I have time to charge an extra 0.5 seconds for this ice shot? You use Ice Prism a lot to just like lead a fight before enemies even see you, honestly. So yeah, that one's usually free. But like in the middle of combat, make sure you're not giving up free ice shots to try to go for the really big one. It's just not worth it. That's a great question, Tacos. Thank you. I need water, but that's okay. We'll keep chugging along. Okay, we're gonna go over the offhand choice now. I'm gonna spend a lot of time going over my preferred offhand, the Toxic Gauntlet. And I'll explain why I think it's the best one, hands down. But I'll also cover like the other ones people like to use, like Fire and Stone. 1 second. Okay. So Tox offhand is like, the main reason we like Tox offhand is because it shoots through ice no problem. Like I said, I'm not a frost maniac. Okay, I kind of invented the Tundra crutch, where we rely on Tundra to get our damage off, and every other gauntlet pretty much has trouble shooting through Tundra. Toxic has no problem, so no matter where you catch them, if you're on the outside, if you want to reposition, that's also something too, you don't have to sit in the middle. Reposition, go on the outside, you know, get into a safer spot. Thank you, Mega. Yeah, if you use Fire, you can hit them while they're inside, but if you want to Ow. 1 second. So just in the Tundra combo alone, like it's sometimes can be messed up. Inside it will work, but if you want to go outside, you cannot hit them anymore. So that's just damage you're missing out on. I think that's a really big waste. Same goes for Wind, same exact thing. You can shoot them inside, but outside you cannot shoot them. Also, I think Wind is kind of has a weird synergy too, because when you freeze someone, you want to get like a big burst off, and Wind is like the moment you hit them, you will unfreeze them, so they have the ability to move around again. I don't think it's a good synergy like that. I think it's the water. That's a good point. That's a good point. But like even more than that, we'll go over when we go over the power matchup. But like fire and ice just kind of collide with each other and counter each other. So especially when you're playing Frostborn, because we have the ice trail. Like if you're playing Pyromancer, for example, you don't have to worry about ice too much because you're playing more off the fire gauntlet. You're not going to be flash freezing as much as you are on Frostborn, and there's no ice trail on your ice shots when you're playing like Pyromancer. But for here, you have ice trails, so you can't even firewall on your ice trails. You'll end up like it's just you'll place a firewall and then you can't shoot through your firewall, or you'll just extinguish your own firewall. So why'd you even cast it? Like there's a lot of stuff that goes into like I don't know, just like wasting your value. I think with fire, like you can end up placing a firewall just all on your trail, and now your trail's gone and your firewall's gone, and that's just not a great time. You have Steam, but like Steam Steam is just oh, I tried to cover Steam. Steam is funny. Steam is like an element interaction, but it doesn't do any damage. It's just like it's a really good way to hide in like plain sight, if you will. If you do end up making Steam, I don't suggest ever making Steam on purpose. I don't think it's worth the resources. But if you do see Steam like in combat, like if someone was, they could not see me like right now outside. They could not see me. I promise you that. So if you do see Steam bubbles, try to shoot them like bushes and just hide in them. I've caught people off guard in Steam bubbles. They're pretty funny. But yeah, I wouldn't go making Steam around the map on purpose. But if you see an opportunity, go for it. But yeah, anyway. Like fire and ice don't collide well, so I don't recommend going that. Steamy. Another good reason Tox is great too is I'll show you guys in the little clips when we're actually fighting people, but Tox is really good close range, just for the fact that like ice is like good long range, right? Ice is really good long range, so you should have something that is really close range, right? Tox is probably the best gauntlet close range. Tox is the highest DPS gauntlet. So it really couples well. You have the highest close range gauntlet damage, and also one of the best long range gauntlet damages, right? That's just on paper. Think of it like a sniper and a shotgun. Solid loadout, right? Except for the shotgun's kind of freaky. Okay, the shotgun you can shoot from far away. It's still for decent damage, and if they had armor, it would apply something called corrosion. Corrosion is a dot. It is just free damage for the Tox gauntlet. It does a lot of things, but mainly it's just free damage. Chips away at armor. It gives you vision on them because there's a dot on them. So really, when you think you're doing 10, you're actually doing like 20 just off hitting one pellet because of corrosion. It's a lot of damage. And something I really want to like try to get you guys to understand too is from this range, like fire is not very confirmable. If someone is moving, it's very hard to hit a fireball from this range. But toxic is still like pretty easy to hit. You have such a wide radius, and if you hit it for 10, like only a couple pellets or one pellet, it will still corrode them and get a lot of value for you. So think of like this being a more effective range for Tox than it is for fire. But that's really something I want you guys to understand. Because in like a scenario where you don't have time to charge an ice shot from here, and you want to do damage from like this kind of range, like going Tox is still reliable, and like fire would not be as reliable in this kind of range. And then wind is just like very little damage from this range. That's why Tox is a very strong gauntlet combo with ice. But hopefully that makes sense. Just like the range wise. I think with Calypso it makes sense too, but yeah. Also, we didn't even cover the Tox Cloud yet. Tox Cloud is a really, really good sorcery. It might be the best sorcery in the game. I think it's up for debate, but it's a really strong sorcery. It does a lot of stuff. It covers a lot of ground, just a lot of space, and also it goes through walls. I'll show you clips in a second. True, good tip. You can do that, no problem. You can always refreeze. Good tip, Eddie. Also, you can freeze people in Tox Clouds. You can freeze it normally like this. They get chilly. I forgot I have Battlestone. I was so confused. I forgot I have Battlestone. That's one way to do it. If there's a Tox Cloud out here, you can, like we said earlier, you can flash freeze it. It'll freeze. If someone's inside it, it'll also create Icy Mist again. Vital OP. I don't really came in clutch there. I'm gonna wait for 1 second cooldown to show you one more thing. Give me a second. Also, one of my favorite little elemental actions in the game and little text you can do is if you have a cloud out here and you're in your flash freeze, your toxic will turn into little icicles and it will freeze clouds. It will also put out firewalls. I'll show you in a second. Very nice. Come up big in like Toxicology matchups or people that use like clouds for cover. You can just freeze them really quick. It's very nice. Something firewalls, we'll put a firewall down. Flash freeze. Oh my god, I forgot, wrong offhand. Here you go. Firewall's getting extinguished, no problem. One of my favorite interactions in the game personally. It's like a small one, but I think it's really cool. The layers to it. But yeah. So basically having a second option to free somebody with the cloud and is just really strong. The sorcery just couples so well with Frost, and also just the actual spell itself too is just synergizes so well. Bye tacos. Thanks for asking questions, hanging around. You the best. Make sure you guys have seen Tacos Academy class 2 and check out Tacos. Tacos is super cool. But yeah, let me show you some clips now. This can show you the effectiveness of the Tox Gauntlet and why it is so nice. Offhand. Here, let's shotgun through these. This is just showing how nice Cloud is. Okay. The Sorcery Cloud can just be so nice because, like I said, it goes through walls, right? A lot of times people just hide behind a wall and spell break. You know that? Just free Cloud damage. That forces them to move. That does free damage. That applies a corrosion tick to them. It does so much. And now they're moved, and now the fight is way easier on me because I don't have to go all the way up there, you know? It'd be really hard to get a firewall up there or anything else. Like, I'm trying to stress, also I don't even know where the suit came from, but I'm just trying to stress, like, clouds can pressure people and do damage where, like, no other thing in the game can. It's very nice to have clouds. Oh, where'd my clip go? Like, using clouds just for, like, the little bit of, like, 6-12 tick plus the corrosion is a lot of value for the player. There's another quick example. I can't see them here, but I know they're behind this tree / behind this rock, so just throwing a cloud forces them to move. They have to move into an easier spot for me to hit them. This is gonna be a really similar example. One sec, sorry. Catching him with Tundra. Very nice, too. Wish I missed the frost shots. I know they're behind this wall, but I cannot hit them because I fell off the wall. I did not get the high ground. But I can throw the cloud, no problem. Hits them, they have to move. Just free damage behind a wall. It really freaks someone out, too, when they're behind a wall. They think they're safe, and they get hit. Just what that does to, like, the person's mental in the middle of a fight is a lot. Yeah, just try to get in the habit of using cloud like that. I think I watch a lot of people play Frostborn and their cloud's just sitting there. There's a lot of times where cloud can be super useful, especially in like close quarters fights or like castle fights. People are trying to hide behind walls like that. But yeah, Tox is really good just because it gives you a very strong close range. Like I was saying earlier, Tox is good long range, but Tox is good I'm sorry, Ice is good long range, but Tox is good close range. This is just a nice little quick double kill in a castle because I have Tox, and Tox is really good close range, so I'm comfortable to fight. The Cloud to move them in, almost herd them in, if you will. We can watch that really quick one more time too. We Cloud here. They're walking in. It's really nice close range damage. Really quick damage too. That's a great question. Thank you, Jamichito. That really depends on like the pace of the fight. But like Tox is still good here. If you don't think you're if you don't think you're safe enough to charge an Ice Lance, you can always throw out Tox. And as long as you're comfortable hitting Tox from here, and you can practice that. Like Tox, it's always better to do like Tox damage than like no damage. Juanchito, my bad. But it depends on the fight you're in. If you don't think you're safe enough to charge an Ice Lance, just go for slaps until you feel you're safe enough. If you want to like wait for your rune to go for an ice, you can do that too. If they have armor on still, you can always crow that off with Tox super easy. But yeah, Tox has a longer effective range than just like being close. Sorry, let me do this. Like over here is still like a really decent amount of damage with Tox. Like you can ice here if you want, but like I said, if you're not safe, go for the Tox. Tox lets you move around a lot more freely. You can always move. Especially if you get trails, you can just you can trail, Tox, trail, ice. You get close. This is a small clip. I just want to show you, like from this distance, if I had a fireball, the enemy probably would move out of the way. But I'm able to just throw Tox. You can't hear it, but they are corroding, right? That pushes them back. The effective range Tox is just it's just more than I think people think it is normally. It's not just a close range shotgun because it pokes so well because of the corrosion factor. Don't be afraid to use it to poke people out. Tox close range example. But this is how effective it can be close range too. This is a really quick example of how strong it is close range. Also using the Cloud really well too to move somebody. Tundering all that lightning strike damage, by the way. You caught that. Cloud to move them, slap. That's really quick. We can watch it again. I slap them, and I instantly rune away. The Cloud makes them move, and I slap them again really quick. It's just a really quick way to kill somebody. Here's another clip showing the effective range of Tox 2. It's longer than you might think it is. Can you briefly explain the difference between uncommon, rare, epic, legendary Frost Gauntlet? Yeah, sure, no problem. Here, one second, let me cover this. Or let me just really quick because we're almost done with this Tox thing. So I'm realizing I can't go for this Frost Shot anymore. But as I'm falling, I go for Tox. And like this is still like a really far distance. But Tox still hits, and it's doing a lot of damage. They're unfortunately sitting on a water puddle, so it did turn to a Tox puddle. That is one of the interactions if somebody gets hit by Tox and some of the Tox pellets hit the water. But you can see like it's a very respectable amount of damage you get from just like one little Tox left. Like poking with it is very strong. But yeah, here. I can go over that with no problem. 1 second. For all gauntlets, by the way, it's gonna be like mana and damage. The sorcery cooldown is not affected. But I can go Frost Gauntlet specifically too. Okay, for Frost Gauntlet, for common, the mana cost is gonna be 30 to 60 depending on how much you charge it. And uncommon that goes to 27 to 54. Rare it's 24 to 48 at max charge. Epic it's 21 to 42, and Leggy it's 20 to 40. For damage, the minimum is 15. It goes to 45 uncommon. Uncommon it's 19 to 58. Rare it's 21 to 63. Epic it's 22 to 67, and Leggy it's 24 to 72. So also for most gauntlets too, or all gauntlets, like just like rare is like what you want for damage. Yeah, I can just show you here. If you want to search the wiki too, if you want to look up these stats, just search public wiki. These stats are very accurate. You can just see the damage. It's always mana, and it's always gonna be damage. I can link you this wiki too if you want. If you're curious. Yeah, it's a really good way to get those little questions answered. Hopefully that shows how strong Tox can be. It just couples so well. Hopefully it gives you an idea. The elemental interactions and just the poke potential and the close range strength of it is just all so well. It just synergizes with the Frost Gauntlet so well and the Frostborn class. It is the perfect fit. If you want to use other ones, you can. If you're more comfortable with other gauntlets. I personally, before I made Frostborn, I did play Stone Shaper. So I'd play Stone Shaper Fire. So I really wanted to use Fire or Stone Shaper on Frostborn. But I just realized there's so much value you get from Toxic Gauntlet, so I just forced myself to learn Toxic Gauntlet. But if you have fun with Stone or Fire, those are also great too. The only thing with Stone, here I'll explain. The only thing with Stone is that you have no like aerial damage besides like your boulder. So you really have to keep in mind when you're fighting, if someone gets in your face with like a Fire Gauntlet or Toxic Gauntlet and they're not on the floor, you really hard time fighting that. So just keep in mind, keep kiting backwards. Go for Stone when you can. If they're really close in your face, you always have your boulder. Try to keep your boulder for that one purpose exactly, as like a defense mechanism when they get close to your face. But yeah. Also, it sucks sometimes when you freeze people, they are like in the air, so you can't capitalize that really quick with a quick like Tox Slap. You have to either charge an Ice Shot, or you just can't get any damage off at all because you don't have a nice little offhand, like a Tox Gauntlet or something. And then Fire, I already went over Fire. It's just like contradicting elements. With Frostborn especially, since you have so much like ice going on and you're using like your trails and your tundra, Fire is just overpowered. Like if you're playing Pyro Ice, like I said, it's a lot different because the ice won't overpower the fire. But with Frostborn, it just kind of just melt everything, unfortunately. And then Wind is also usable too if you really want to use Wind. Like I said, when you freeze somebody, you do kind of want to go for a big burst, and like Wind is not that much burst. After you hit them once, they will unfreeze, and you are letting them get out without doing like your maximum damage potential. And same thing with Tundra too, is that you can't use it through the flash freeze. So that's why I truly think Tox is the best. But if you want to use other ones, go ahead. But I really think it's worthwhile to just figure out how to use Tox. It's also very satisfying too. But you can't shoot through this, very unfortunately. You want to hop out, because it's not always safe to stand in your flash freeze. Sometimes you want to freeze somebody and also move out while you're hitting them. You can't do that with Fire or Wind, unfortunately. But yeah. Okay. Now we can go over fight scenarios. Now that we know what all the class skills do, we know the best offhand to run. Hopefully these fight scenarios should make some sense. Oh, one more thing with Tox Cloud too. There's gonna be a lot of fire on the battlefield, and this will happen a lot too. There'll be like fire on the battlefield. I could bring up like numerous infinite examples of me just throwing clouds and dragon fighting people without having fire. This is a decent example. Some people will hide behind firewall because if they know you're running ice and toxic, right? What blocks that? Fire blocks that. But fire does not block the cloud, so you just throw the cloud at them and they will blow up. So it's just free damage. Yeah, really quickly one more time. If you throw the cloud through the firewall, it will just blow up. Very nice to have that in your pocket. People do not expect that. Let's go over some nice fights in optimal terrain real quick. Yeah, wait. I'm gonna take a quick, like 1 minute break and get water really quickly. Okay, fight scenarios. This will be a nice fight. Like so far, we've just learned like what the class does, what you can do with the class. Now we can get into some fights. You can actually visualize like what the class can actually do, what the potential of the class is. So okay, really quickly before we see this clip, a very basic way to play Frostborn, like your ideal fight is really simple. You basically just want to hit them with a frost shot from like a good distance away, right? A safe distance, whatever distance you can get away with, right? Hit them with a frost shot, maybe 2 frost shots, and then fly at them. Just run at them, and then slap them in the face. That's like your simple math equation of a way to play Frostborn. Like, not every fight goes like that, obviously, but if you can, that's like what you want to do. Of course, when you're getting closer, Tundra too, you know, if you need to, for the confirmed kill. That's like the simplest way to put it for Frostborn. But now we can go over some fight scenarios really quickly. Sorry, actually wait, that's fine, you guys can hear it. So I whiffed some Toxpoke there, I didn't connect it, but I tried. Switched on my right. Go for a nice frost shot. Tundra to me to fireball, didn't connect on me. I'm blocking lightning though too, that's double value. 2 frost snipes. I'll slow down a little bit. Blocking lightning here. I casted it to block the fireball. Luckily that fireball got eaten by just my alacrity on the floor, but I thought it would hit me, so I cast Tundra. It blocked the second one, luckily. And also lightning did not connect on me, so I took no damage. Got 2 frost shots. I'm utilizing the acceleration from alacrity here, and the speed you get, and reduced air friction to just run around the corner and slap them with a nice Tox slap. Very simple. 2 ice snipes, Tox slap. As clean as you can get. A few more. This was in a solo scrim. Ideally 2, if you don't have to get up and slap them, that's very nice too. Playing ice is also really nice. I have some rhymes, yes. Also, hi Chris. But ideally, if you need to play ice, these are nice ice prism shots too. They're very big. I was able to hold for 2 full ice prism shots. It's a lot of damage. Sometimes you won't be using like your Tox Gauntlet at all, or any of your Tox parts, like no Tox Spell, no Tox Sorcery, no Tox Cloud. Sometimes you might use like very little ice and like all Tox. It's just what the situation presents and asks for. And you'll learn to like figure out what's happening, or figure out how to read each situation. So here I throw a Tox Cloud because I know this person wants to go to the epic chest. I think normally I would not throw a Tox Cloud, but I just know that their destination is the epic chest, so that's why I throw a Tox Cloud here. And if they have a belt, it'll corrode them, and that'll be a lot of extra damage. They don't have a belt. That's good information for me. So I should be very confident to take this fight, even though I'm not fully looted, and just simple ice shots. The clean way to play Frostborn. Here's another example. Okay, here's a good example of how to use your cloud. Here's a castle fight. We're approaching somebody. We kind of know they're there, but we can't really hit them at this range. We'll throw the cloud in there because it will just cover a lot of space. Force them to move out of there. We get a nice Tox slap through the window. Very lucky for us. The corrosion's keeping information on them. Very useful. We know at all times where they're going, so we can prepare for our next position and move. We see a third party. I think that's just a bot, but that's okay. This person tells us they're still over there. We keep positioning. This is really important too. Like using your runes. Sorry, using your runes with purpose to go to like a certain destination, a certain terrain. So I see they're over there. I want to make sure that I get a nice high ground position on them. If I stay up top here, I know they're walking through this corridor. I'll cloud. They have to walk through the cloud. A lot of times people don't do this too. This is a nice little habit you can make. If someone's in a cloud and you can't hit them, like hit them. They don't expect to be hit by that much burst inside of a cloud. And that's just a simple kill. They Vital Stoned. We can't see what happens after. They did just kill me with Vital Stone. You know, Vital Stone is the best talent in the game, unfortunately. But, you know, before Vital Stone, I can just imagine that I killed them. But you can see how I'm trying to make space for Frost when I can. But when they get too close, I will just whip out the Toxicology. But yeah, also like going for mini poke here. I didn't connect this, but if I did, it would just be nice free poke, free corrosion damage with the Tox before I go reset for terrain. Just little stuff like that. Okay, next clip. You show this clip already? Let me double check. Yeah, Tundra and then Fear, because I don't know where they are. Luckily, they're outside my Tundra, so I'm pretty safe in there. Very simple way. Very simple fight. Frostborn fight 2. It's combobulate. Thanks. Like I said earlier, not all fights will be utilizing like all like Tox and Ice. Some fights will just be all Ice. Some fights will just be all Tox. Depends on what you have to do. Sometimes you'll just be sniping people for free, or finish it off with a clean Tox hit. But hopefully that gives you like an idea of like where to play, how do you like how to position yourself for damage for both Tox and Ice, and a few different layouts of the map, a few different terrains. If anyone has any questions, I'd be glad to answer anything. I know it's kind of like a hard concept to grasp, like where to position yourself in fights and like when to go for damage and stuff like that. Like I said, ideally, your simple Frost fight is just hit your Ice Snipe at the start and then run at them with Tundra. Or hit 2, run at them, Tox out them, and secure the kill. That's like your ideal fight. If we have no questions, we can move on to class matchups or runes. Let me cover runes really quick, so I think we'll go over runes right now. Okay, runes. I'm always gonna recommend like the usual 3: Dash, Shadow Step, or Spring Step. I do lean towards Dash or Shadow Step more, but I know some people are not super comfortable in those runes yet. Spring Step is a fine option. You just play it slightly differently. The main reason we go for like Dash or Shadow Step, for me, the easiest way to explain it is it's like a very confirmed. Well, number 1, they're like low cooldown runes, right? But number 2, it's just like a confirmed Tox slap for you. I think that's very strong. So you can just dash in and slap somebody. That's just a free big chunk of damage. 46 damage is a lot. 40 if you don't have like a Leggy. Still just a lot. Same thing with Shadow Step. Spring Step doesn't do that for you, but it's still very strong. But yeah, just a quick movement, low cooldown. It's just very nice. You only have 1 rune with the build I usually run, so it's very nice to make sure it's a low cooldown rune. Just in case someone does rush you down. I do think TP is playable. If you really want to go like a long cooldown rune, and I think Flight's also okay too. You just have to keep in mind you have a long cooldown. But because you have like Alacrity, you can kind of make up for like smaller movements, you know? Like I was saying earlier, like Alacrity, like this distance right here, that's pretty much a dash already. So like the small movements like that, the micro movements, you can really make up for not having a low cooldown rune. That's why it's okay to only have 1 charge of your low cooldown rune anyway. So if you really want to try going a long cooldown rune like Flight or TP, it is kind of doable. Here's some examples. Here's an example of teleport. So basically with teleport, it's very nice to like hit a frost shot, and then when you hit a frost shot, usually target will go for cover. But if you just TP behind them and go for another frost shot when they really don't expect it, it's pretty nice. That's like the biggest thing for me. Like right here, flying in, I get high ground instantly. Except for an easy Ice Snipe, we can secure the kill. But like in this example, I think this will be more straightforward, what I was saying earlier. We're just able to TP in and get an angle people don't expect. This is the example I'm trying to think of. So like you hit a frost shot, right? With this frost shot, they instantly go for cover. I'm like, okay, what could I do? I could throw a cloud. But also we could TP behind them and get the easy frost shot angle. So I would still opt for a low cooldown rune, like the spring step or like the dash step or spring step, but if you really wanted to, it does work out sometimes. You just keep in mind you only have one long cooldown rune, so you are very vulnerable. As I was saying, like dash is basically equals, once you get comfortable with it and good with it, dash can just equal free talk slaps for you. And that's just really nice confirmable damage. It's very nice to have that in your kit. We'll see in a moment here. We're just potting up. They run at us. Talk slap into another dash, another free talk slap. But yeah, if you can get this like combination like mastered, it's really, really nice. Like slapping them and then dashing or shadow stepping and slapping them again for free. It's a lot of quick damage. People don't usually expect that. It's just a lot of burst. One thing I want to mention really quickly too, if you do run dash on alacrity, it does sometimes visually lag like this if you are playing on like not at your home server, but you still get the same like actual distance covered. But yeah, I thought I'd mention that really quickly. If someone thinks it's like a bug, like your actual distance is not really affected. It just looks laggy. Frost is good against right, yeah. Okay, now that we covered runes, I want to go over like class matchups. Okay, in no particular order, we're gonna go over all the classes on their matchups. A lot of stuff you'll fight and you'll find when you're fighting them. I'm gonna go over. What should we go over first? Let's go over conduit first. Okay. Really quickly, I want to run over like a couple things you have in the conduit favor for your matchups. In your favor, sorry, versus the conduit. So like the number one thing is most conduits like to run fire offhand, and they already have lightning. So your flash freeze, your tundra is really strong because it blocks both the spells already. So that's a really huge advantage for you. Also, you're running frost, you kind of keep up with the range that lightning players like to play. As long as you trust yourself with your frost shots. But your main goal too is to just try to go for a frost shot. If you can't, you can really close the gap on them and go for like talk slaps really close quarters. I'll show you examples of this. But yeah, a lot of conduit players like to just sit there and try to beam you. If you can close the gap with them, it's really nice. They get kind of flustered. Also, another small thing too, if they shock your ice and they're on your ice, they'll instantly get shocked. A lot of conduit players also don't run harmony. It's just not like a meta build for them at the moment. But you have so many tools to block their lightning. Toss Slide also blocks lightning, so they're just really not a favorable position. Sorry. But yeah, let me show you some examples. What that fight kind of looks like. Here's an example of a castle fight. Like I said, fighting close quarters is kind of ideal for you. Conduits do not have a really good close quarters fight because they can't really do anything with lightning. But you have Tox and you have Tundra, and those are two really insane tools for close quarters fighting. As you'll see here, I'm floating around this castle. Let me see actually here. You guys can hear, but maybe I can hear. Hold on. We see them through here. But that's part one of the fight. My bad. We're just going for talk slaps. We're trying to trade. Covering exits here. We even had Tundra up here. We didn't even need it. But yeah. Hopefully this kind of shows. We can go over it again. Slowly. But just getting in their face is really nice because that just kind of nullifies the lightning gauntlet, which is really the big problem with conduits. Getting beamed from lightning and taking like a lot of damage really quickly, unexpectedly. But if they're close range, all they really have is their fire gauntlet and their sorceries. That's a lot. Really, right there, we poked him with the cloud, and we got a little slap off. So I poked him for half the shield already. That's so much just from like corrosion, pretty much, and like far away tox pellets. More corrosion there, and like a little tox poke. They firewall me and eat my tox shot. They also place their lightning strike. I tundra that. We get them flesh with one more slap. We're hiding behind our flash freeze. Wait, what happened? Oh yeah, that's alright. It ended there. We're hiding behind our flash freeze to the lightning. They fall down there. They're on the back foot this whole fight. Keep that, like, hopefully you guys noticed that. Keep that in mind. You can see here, like, this range, like, it's just hard for them to utilize their lightning at this range. Like, right here, they want to, it's just hard. Especially when you can move around so much, too, in these little castle structures. You have so many options. That was a nice firewall by them, but unfortunately, it just was not enough because my Tundra is just coming up now. There's just no way I lose with my Tundra up like that. Here's an example of a castle fight versus conduits. Same castle. We spot them down here. They're the cloud to try to poke them. They notice that I'm gonna do that, and they leave earlier. Try to run at me. They end up shocking themselves because they're trying to play so much in my face. See them peeking there. We go for some easy corroding poke. Like, hope, like you guys see here, like this is so effective. Like I wouldn't have time to shoot a frost lance here. They would notice me, right? They see that I notice them. They're definitely gonna move, fall backwards. But I do have time to just throw a tox slap out here. I just poke them for 10. They're moving. I get another one off. That's 30 damage plus corrosion. We go for the ice shot. Does not connect, but in Tundra, no problem. We throw the cloud through their firewall for the dragon fire damage. They set up the dragon fire for me. Oh, sorry, I went back. Instead of extinguishing the firewall, I kind of just wait for them to go above their firewall, and I jump with it as well to get a little bit above it. We hit a nice frost shot on them. They're 1 HP. They fall in a second here. Yeah, just take close range fights versus conduits is just kind of your goal. Use an example of closing that gap. Poking with corrosion, like I said earlier. Going for frost shots, not connecting, but that's okay. We just poking with corrosion. That's fine. That's fine. Already got them down to flesh with just tox. Now rushing them down. Like they want to sit there and beam, right? Conduits a lot of the time. He would love for me to just stand down here so he can just hit me for free with lightning. But we rush in their face. They can't really do anything. It's really hard to aim lightning when you're that close in their face. Go for tox slaps. Also, lightning players, because they get rewarded for like for holding down their lightning gauntlet and left click, right? They get the damage ramp up. They don't like want to cancel it. They're like reluctant to. I think subconsciously a lot of the time. So if you get in their face, sometimes they're really late to switch to fire. So that's just really just free tox damage for you. We can move on to the next clip though. Oh. Sorry. I did not get much sleep. But I'm having a blast. Okay. Really good example of they definitely misclicked here and tried to fireball me, but that's okay. They put fire on the field. I'm gonna use it to dragon fire them. Immediately throw the cloud, they get dragon fired. I think I only took 1 tick of it, I think, because they're on the far end, but still that's just nice 20 damage. We tundra their lightning strike. Get a nice little clean ice shot in there. That's a good example. I'm pretty sure I have ice wisdom right now, but there's no way I can wait long enough to get the ice shot off. They're gonna behind this pillar. They're gonna like, get out of my line of sight, so I just get the 40 damage off really quickly. That's still really nice. Really good trade for me. I noticed that they're playing around this firewall because we know lightning goes through fire. None of my spells, tox and ice, do not go through fire. They're playing really well on this firewall. I'm trying to use it as cover. I realized that. like we learned earlier, if you get a really good angle on a firewall, you can extinguish the whole thing in one ice shot. That's a really good example of how you can do that. Is it worth using Tundra to block lightning strike? Not always. It's only 20 damage. I think it really depends on your reading situation. Like here, where am I? Like here, it's not just blocking lightning strike. It's also kind of like guarding this area for me. You have to keep in mind when conduits like used to lightning strike like that, they also have a new rune. So if I was, well, they know I'm not gonna get shot because I have harmony, but they hit me for 20. They kind of want to flat me, hit me with the fireball again. That's kind of what they're doing here. You see that? Because I'm sitting in Tundra, they can't really get a fireball off, and they have to reset. They realize they have to reset. So I wouldn't say it's always worth, but in its cases where you can get like double value out of the Tundra. So blocking lightning strike with damage reduction, also blocking their spells when they're trying to go at you, letting me charge up an ice jet for them. But I wouldn't just block like random lightning strikes with Tundra because it is a 20-second cooldown. It is like a big tool in your kit. If you don't position it well to get more value from it, you might end up throwing your fight that way. That's a really good question. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, okay, sorry. This I have to go to a different clip, but yeah, like if you have a chance to do this with a firewall, just try to go for it every time. Make sure you're shooting up. Shooting up just guarantees that you get like you cover it all. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, but yeah. Little cheating shot behind the tree. Like again, it's only 40 shot, but it's better to have a 40 shot than to have no shot at all, you know? We couldn't get the full like Ice Prism 70 or 80 shot, but it's better to have this than nothing. Sorry, to finish, get a second clip to finish this clip, or finish this fight. They're shooting from the tree. We get some more Tox Poke to keep the pressure on them. I try to move faster. They trade out here. My teammate did come there, but it's okay. We just hit a nice shot to finish it off. Hopefully that gives you an idea of how to use like your tools. Like right there, you saw me use the Tundra to immune lightning strike and also to block their fireball and like create a space for me to get an ice shot off. You also saw me utilize Alacrity to just fully extinguish a whole firewall that they were trying to hide behind. Like on paper, I think as long as you can like fight close quarters and close distance and don't get too outpoked by conduits, you do have a really good fight versus them. And if you do have like a long fight with them, it just kind of comes down to if you're confident and if you do end up hitting like a nice ice knife on them to trade damage with. If not, you can just full weight, honestly. Nice cloud. Unfortunately, I have a problem. But at least I was able to distract them, but not get the shot. Oh, sorry. Like rushing someone down is really nice though. This was just a show, like poking, like this is like a really small clip, but just to show like getting out of a lightning player's like line of sight is really huge. So I managed to poke them a little bit, and then immediately get out of their line of sight. I know it seems like nothing, but it's kind of like a small habit you want to form when you're fighting conduit players. You don't want to give them just so much time to aim at you and like be in their line of sight. If you can quickly trade damage with them, like I was able to with this little Tox Slap, which is 10 plus the corrosion, so that's 22 damage. It's really nice. Little trades like that will like win you the fight. But yeah, it's so small, but if you make that, if you put that into your like your normal gameplay, it'll be really good for you. Yeah, that's pretty much, those are all the clips I have to fight for fighting conduits. Closing distance is your number one thing when you're fighting any class. You can try to do this too. Conduits, especially. Like basically, conduits resources, they have the rune or runes if they have runic. Usually they have like focus mana a lot of the time. They have the lightning strike, which gives them one rune. They have their firewall. So just gotta keep track of like all those cooldowns. like what they do. Like if they use their sorcery, expect them to rune at you aggressively, or rune away. That's probably why they're sorcerying. We can go on to the next class now. Let's do, what should we do next? Again, if you're on YouTube, I'm reading all the questions and comments in the Discord chat. So make sure to join the Discord chat and comment there. Okay, let's do Frostborn fight. The Frostborn fight's really interesting. If they don't have harmony, you can kind of assume they have harmony as a Frostborn, but a lot of times they might not. Like I said, you can check them earlier by just like either knowing your damage numbers, or if you see the little purple arrow facing downwards when you hit them. I wish I could show you right now, but you'll notice it for sure next time you see it. Either anyone who has damage mitigation will have that little thing when you hit them. So if they don't have that arrow, you're basically free to just freeze them and catch them, and it's very easy for you. If they do have harmony, it gets a little more interesting. You're kind of just frost dueling for the most part. But yeah, if they don't have harmony, just catch them in the tundra. It's very easy for you. Let me see. Flip here. Oh, I gotta stop alt tabbing, my bad. I hear stuff, by the way. I know you guys can't hear the audio, but I'm waiting there. Right there, we Tox Cloud them. We know they're around this corner. I cannot, since I'm already trying to fly in this castle and take positioning, I cannot like spend time to hit them with like a spell. Just throw the easy sorcery. That's poke. You guys can't hear it, but it is corroding them right now. It did take them a little bit. Really good way to start the fight. We saw also, here's the arrow. Here's that arrow. You see that arrow? Oh, that arrow right there. This purple arrow. This means they have damage mitigation. That means they have harmony. That's how you know. Also, corrosion always takes for 4. If they have 3, that means they have harmony for sure. Really good way to tell. That was a pretty lucky Tox Cloud, to be honest. But just more poke for me, more knowledge for me. Don't hit the ice shop. Okay, let me go to the second clip of the same fight. More corrosion poke. Nice dash for me. Notice I'm not even using my tundra at all here, because I know it's pretty much useless in this fight, unless I'm gonna immune something. But they're in the back foot here because I got so much poke off on the start. Really all about my Tox Gauntlet, and if I can get a nice ice type, I am luckily I'm able to. Also, Alacrity does freeze the cloud I threw under me, which is very nice, because that way I don't take corrosion myself, or not corrosion. I just don't tick myself. We're able to just dash them and secure the kill. So basically, if they have harmony, you're either going to end up in like an ice sniping duel or a Tox corroding trade duel, depending on what their offhand is. But if you have Tox, they don't have Tox, you definitely can outpoke them and then fly in after that. Just keep that in mind with the Frostborn duel. But it's just a mirror matchup, so it kind of comes down. You just if they really have the same build, then it's just you outsmarting them and out mechanicling them, having stronger mechanics in them. But yeah, big things, just if they have harmony, just poke with Tox. Tox is so good at poking. Try to be really cheeky with it, try to get out of their line of sight, just try to do as much as you can, throw clouds on them. Once they're low armor, just fly at them, try to confirm Tox slaps. If you get an eye shot off, that's really big. Let's go over Pyro next. Really quick, I'm gonna use the restroom. Give me water. We're nice and chilly now. Get into character. Also, I realized too, while I was cleaning my hands, my internet has not disconnected in like a nice, I don't know, like hour. Which is great. Look, it's amazing. Okay. Let's go over the Pyro matchup really quick. The tools you have in your kit for Pyro. We kind of went over it, just by like covering the fire offhand. But there's a lot in the Frostborn kit. Like I said, Frostborn trails, they combust. So if you're sitting on a trail, someone shoots fire, you will not get combusted. You won't get back for that extra 10 damage as long as you're on the trail. Even if it's actual Pyro, 200% combust, you are safe on the trail. It is very nice. You know that. Also, the firewalls cannot be placed on Alacrity at all. Either the water or the ice creates mist, or steam rather. It's not mist. Mist is like the frozen stuff. This is steam. So you already have right there, like you're shutting down their sorcery, and you're shutting down their first ability, combust. If you're on your trails. You might too if you're sitting on a trail, you cannot be firewalled either. Just straight up, you cannot be firewalled if you're sitting on a trail. You're safe from that. And also, of course, you cannot shoot through the splash freeze if you're fire. No in, no out. You just have a lot of tools to counter Pyromancer. Oh, BRB, thank you so much. Forgot. 1 second. Oh yeah, also the firewall thing. We forgot about that too. We just saw that in the conduit matchup. But the Pyromancers are definitely using their firewall. Just shoot above it. Whole firewall is gone. They can't hide behind it to try to avoid your spells. They can't try to firefly through it. None of that. All gone. Oh yeah, also too, this is hard to do, but at certain ranges, you can shoot through this firewall. It's kind of finicky. I don't even know the exact angle or range to do it through. But you can kind of extinguish the firewall and shoot through it. My best guess is like going above this little orange flame, or like the lighter flame rather. Darker flame? Darker flame. You know what I'm saying, the inside flame, you know? But sometimes you can't shoot through just both of them and end up shooting this person. That's only on Frostborn because you have the alacrity. See right there, I did it. So basically it ends up just melting the puddle, or melting the flame underneath it and shooting through. Because of alacrity, how alacrity works. So you just have so many tools to like fight a Pyromancer, you know? The only thing I want to say with Pyromancer, if you don't have your Tundra up, do not trade with them close range. Pyros just hurt way too much with Combust. Like the Ignite factor. And usually they have Fervor. It's just you cannot trade them close range without Tundra. If you do have Tundra, you know they have Harmony, that's just a free trade for you. Just run up them, catch them, slap them. That's really good. But playing Ice is just really nice. I gotta stop rhyming that one. But playing Ice is a very, very good way to play versus Pyro. Just keep the range on them. Works out really well. There's so many tools. You have so many tools. I keep forgetting. I can't show this one in practice, but like I said, when they firewall, you can just throw your Tox Cloud through the firewall and it wins to Dragonfire, or throw it on any of their fire puddles. So many tools in your kit to fight a Pyromancer. Now let's see some examples. Okay. I believe this is a really quick example of me just shooting through a firewall. Actually in combat. Skating around. Always try to be skating around unless you need to be sneaky. That's just more movement. Yep, right here. Right there, already ate their fireball. We have a path set up too. So it already messed up some of their firewall because we had this big alacrity path. But even so, because we have like a height on them and we're shooting over them, it kind of extinguishes the trail, and also it will shoot through the firewall. You know, go through the firewall, the big damage. And also, like I said earlier, you can just throw your cloud through their firewall for free Dragonfire. A lot of times they will just camp behind their firewall because they know it blocks your ice and your toxic, but it does not block your toxic cloud. And I don't have the rest of this clip, but they're feather falling right now, so you can kind of guess how this one finished. Here's another clip. Versus Pyromancer. Like I said earlier, if you don't have Tundra up, you do not want to fight them close quarters. When this clip, I definitely do have Tundra up. You guys can't hear it, but I hear them fighting. You see them right there too. So I know there's fighting over there, so I'm running in there. I do have Tundra up, so I'm very confident running this close quarters area. Check the corner real quick. I see them. It's a Pyromancer, but like I said, Tundra extinguishing their firewall. I'm very confident. Nice little one-tap shot there. If I did not have Tundra, I would not fly in here though. Luckily, I do have Tundra. That's why I do it. No Tundra, I would not go in. Because they would just straight up kill me right here. They would kill me right here. They didn't have to run away. They would just fireball me to death. Very big important. The last Pyromancer clip for us to see. Okay, so clouding, just for poke. A lot of times, Pyromancers will just be shooting fire a lot, so you kind of catch them, make them Dragonfire themselves. Even not even off a puddle, just literally off their own fireballs in their hand. We luckily do that there. They lose some shield. They're trying to rush us. That hit the water, or I believe they hit the trail and turned to water. So I didn't get combusted too hard. That was a nice direct fireball onto me though. We're running them because we know they're low shield now, and I still have my Tundra up, so I'm fairly confident. We already recognize they don't have Harmony because we did damage to them, and they had no purple arrow, right? No purple arrow. That's 4 damage. We know they don't have Harmony, so I'm confident to fly in and just catch them with Tundra, with the little Pokeball. Nice ice shot trade. This Tundra, honestly, I think was a little too preemptive, but they did come up here and freeze themselves, so it worked out for me. But yeah, I think if they just stayed down here, they were in a decent spot because they could have shot through me. But luckily, it worked out. If I could change anything, I would just go down here in Tundra instead of coming up here. But luckily, they came up here, so yeah. Pyromancer fight pretty good. All you gotta do is remember that the Pyromancer fight is pretty good. All you gotta do is remember keep distance. Only close range when you have Tundra, and you should be safe. Look at us, dude. That's half the classes. We did it. Okay. Stone Shaper. Okay, Stone Shaper is weird. I mentioned earlier, Icicle is really good. You can prime ice and not be on the floor. Just hovering. A lot of different terrain, Spell Break, Ice Prism. Icicle helps you stay on the high terrain. Like I was saying earlier, if you wanna, it's not like the highest terrain ever, but if you want to take like, I don't know, go over here, look for an ice shot maybe around this corner, but you're like, oh wait, my high ground, I want to keep my high ground. You can still keep it. You don't have to waste your rune, and you don't end up falling like most people do that aren't on Frostborn. They just sink if they want to go for that frost shot. But you can take different angles because you have the icicle. Very nice. Sorry, I'm yawning. Okay. Same thing with Conduit 2. Like, you want to identify the resources. Stone Shapers usually have 1 rune and they'll have 2 boulders. And like maybe a firewall or whatever sorcery. So try to kind of keep track of their boulders, because they'll be using their boulders to try to just throw at you when you're ice sniping. It's very hard for you to get an ice snipe under a boulder. I cannot show you unfortunately right now because I don't have someone to throw it at me, but a lot of times they'll just block your frost shot. If you don't have Harmony, you will end up getting frozen. So try to keep track of their boulders. Same thing with other matchups too. Just poke with Tox. Tox is free poke. Look for ice snipes if you can, but if not, just pokes for Tox. And if you know they don't have Harmony with all your toxic poking, you can always fly in and try to get a catch with Harmony. They usually only have 1 rune, like I said, Stone Shapers, so you can pretty much catch them. Pretty much catch them after 1 rune usage if you kind of save yours. But yeah. Don't let them kite you into fields. The same way that Stone Shapers kite you into fields, you try to kite them to castles or any structure, because your fight's way better in like any kind of structure. Even if it's like a rock, your fight's better here than like on the floor, right? Just try to kite them around. Yeah. Oh yeah. Also too, make sure to jump off your trails. That's really big. Ah, sorry. I vote you let Stone Shapers kite you to field. That's my vote. Oh my god, stop unpausing. Okay. Make sure you hop off your trails. That's really big too. You don't want to be caught on the floor. Depending on what terrain you do go on, it might still hit you if you are jumping, but it's just better to not be on the trail. Especially if you don't have Harmony, you're gonna get caught chilly and just insta-die. But yeah. I think that's good. That's good habit to build in general, I think, just hopping off trail. Especially against Stone Shapers, because they will just punish you and slam. So you should kind of be unpredictable. You can do the classic shoot 1 trail but actually go this way, but then actually go this way kind of tactic, just to mislead them. Actually works. It looks so stupid, I know, but it actually works a decent amount of the time. So go ahead and try that. Okay, let me show you some examples. So when I was saying you want to rune with purpose earlier, this is really, let me slow down. So when I was saying you want to rune with purpose earlier, this is a really good example of like making sure you not only like do damage with your rune, but you also avoid damage, and also you set up the terrain you want to be on. I think a lot of people use runes just to like avoid damage, and they don't keep track of like where they're gonna land with the rune. So you'll see in this clip what I mean. That person's just oblivious, right? It's a free kill for me, but 1 second. Tox poke. I see their stone, right? Immediately spring step up here. not only am I avoiding the next Stone Slam, I'm also on a safe position to fight for the next Stone Slam because someone does not go up here. That's what I mean with like Ruin with Purpose. When you're fighting like Stone Shapers too, like this is a pretty open area, but there's a lot of areas where stone doesn't go on. This altar, these rocks, certain peaks. When you're fighting stone in general, you just have to keep a layout of like everything you can go on that doesn't get by stone, and just try to play on those. And then they will try to go on you, but just punish them for trying to go on you for that reason, you know? This is a small example. This is a close quarters fight. Let me, yeah, this is good. With the Stone Shaper. We know they're Stone Shaper. They bouldered me. And we confirm it here when I poke them. Stone Shaper. I hit by one slam. That's honestly one too many already, but I go to the stairs. I kind of miss my dash. But immediately I go to a box because I know they cannot slam off this box. This is kind of like micro position I'm talking about. Like, you need to get out of the way. Look for anything to sit on, you know? That is not the floor. You don't want to get slammed by stone. Because I could just sit right here, I would definitely get hit. Like any box, barrel, any ledge, like anything you sit on, not get by stone is huge for you. Thought they were there. We kind of see them with icicle there. This is a also like one-time example thing kind of too. Kind of a hard way to use your cloud, but if you can't get in the habit of it, it's kind of nice. We're just trading damage right now, pot trading. Because this cloud I throw, it is very hard to recognize that this is gonna go under them. But Stone Shapers, when they bedrock, they pretty much go in a straight line. Sometimes they make something movement, they'll cancel their bedrock. For the most part, they're going in a straight line. You're seeing that Stone Shapers doing it right now, right? They bedrock to avoid my ice shot. It's very hard to hit someone when they're bedrocking. But because they're going in a straight line, I know that cloud is going to hit them. So yeah, that's something you kind of abuse, that they're going down in a straight line. If you can't quite get the ice shot off, I know it's hard. I miss it all the time too. Try to go for a Tox Cloud. Something to think about. Just set it up for them while they land. Here's the middle of a fight with another Stone Shaper. Mega versus himself. I'm quickly resetting. I'm running away. I'm very low. I got corrosion off, by the way. You can't hear it. It's going off right now. So it's slowly ticking away. I just kind of hope they don't see me there, but you know, it is what it is. So corrosion from 4 definitely helped tick away. Now they're flesh. I have 2 seconds on my Tundra cooldown. That's really big here. Keep in mind this Tundra cooldown. Because that is why I'm stalling in this tree. If I stall in this tree a little longer just to make sure my Tundra is up. This is very important for me. We dash. We trade another slap. We know they're flesh. I hear them spring step. This is really important. You guys can't hear it, but I hear them spring step. And we Tundra it like very luckily frame perfect and immune the Earth Slam. And they do not have harmony. That's a big recklessness slap. I do have full recklessness. I'll go over recklessness later when we go over talents, but it's a big damage. And let me just secure this kill. I did watch this fight back or Mega's POV, and he could have just bouldered me from here. He was over here. He could have just bouldered me. In that case, I would have Tundra the boulders. It'd probably be like a different fight, but getting like a really clutch Tundra when they try to slam is really big because they are committing to be kind of close to you. So you can just trade slaps. You can do like 70-80 damage while they do 0 if you get a really nice Tundra. But yeah. That happens a lot though in stone fights. You can like walk up to them after they're really poked out and just, they think they'll get a free slam on you, but you just get a nice Tundra and you slap them some more. Happens a lot. Very common in stone fights actually, way more than you would think. Okay. We have no questions on Stone Shaper. I'll move on to next class. We have Tempest and Tox. Tempest and Tox. These are some interesting ones. They're probably the harder matchups, I would say. Tempest is weird. Tempest is weird. I think for Tempest, it actually really depends on the offhand you're running. Because Tempest has so many popular offhands. Tempest players like to go Tox offhand, Fire offhand, Ice offhand. I think if they go Tox offhand, that matchups can be kind of difficult. Fire, I think, is very much in the Frostborn's favor. Ice as well, pretty much in the Frostborn's favor, very even. Also, with these two matchups too, with the Tox matchup left and the Tempest matchup left, a lot of times you will have to hit some like kind of some nutty frost shots and clutch it up really hard for yourself. Because those two classes have a lot of movement, and you really have to just lock them down. But yeah. Same thing with Stone though. If you can time your Tundra to immune of Outbreak, that's really big. Very few, if not any, Toxicologists run Harmony, so that's gonna set up for either a free slap for you, free Ice Knife for you, or they'll waste another rune trying to get out of your Tundra, which is all in all a win for you. Another good tip too. You notice level 4 of Toxicologists, they have Spreading Sickness. They throw 3 clouds at once. Sorry, my dog wanted something. Okay, Toxicologists throw 3 clouds at once. They kind of stack on each other. If you're a normal non-Frostborn Ice player, you can just shoot it once, and then there'll still be like clouds floating around. If you guys have seen it, you guys get what I'm saying. But basically, just to freeze all the clouds, you can just freeze over it. Just shoot over it, and it'll freeze everything above it. That's like a really quick tip, just to counter all the clouds. Make sure they have nothing to recloud off of. Hopefully, you can make them never cloud at all. But at the very least, don't let them recloud on you. That's just too much invisibility and movement to deal with. We should shut that down real quick. Another thing too, when you do Tundra, if they Shadow Step at you and you Tundra it, and they try to cloud away, make sure you freeze the cloud like this. It is faster than shooting ice, so to make that a habit. You might be able to catch them like mid cloud or before they cloud, and they'll be in a really rough spot, like between a rock and a cloud, if you will. But yeah, also unfortunately too, I think a big part of this matchup just comes down. You have to be really good at seeing invis, I think. That's not something you're comfortable with yet. Hopefully, with more practice and time, you get used to it. But it's really crucial to see where they are invis. You have Toxic Corrosion, so that does help see them. But yeah, that's a big part of it. Fighting Toxicologists. Let me go over. Sorry, it's not the Toxicologist fight. Okay, so we have the same gauntlets, right? So we kind of have the same idea. They kind of want to get in close to Outbreak me, and I want to get in close to Tundra them, catch them, right? We both have like Toxic Poke and Ice, right? So it's kind of similar to our mirror, but not quite, because they have the Outbreak. We know they cloud here. I freeze 2 of those clouds on the right side. That's what I mean. Like, when you Spreading Sickness, see these 2 clouds here. If I were to just shoot inside of it, it would just freeze 1, but shooting over it guarantees I freeze 2, so they cannot recloud over there. But quickly, I try to freeze that one. Luckily, I hit them. Very, very lucky I hit them. I realized it's close to me. I Tundra, avoiding slap. That's their Shadow Step out. That means they only have 1 Shadow Step left. They just use it. Very nice. Like, this is what I'm saying. When you have to like condition yourself to see invis, like this up a lot. This also there's kind of some invis bugs in the game, but you're not lucky to get an invis bug. Like with time, it's something you have to learn, but like it is actually super helpful to be able to see invis accurately when you find Toxicologists. I think it's a big part of the matchup, unfortunately. Because they will be invis for a long part of the match. Even if you can't see the invis, like just kind of predicting where they're gonna move is decent enough too. You still have your Tox Slap, which is like a big range, and also your Cloud, a big AoE cover. So you kind of just get a feel of like where they're gonna go. Not even the exact model. To help too. This is an example of playing around Flash Freeze versus Toxicologist. So kind of similar how you saw like in the Conduit matchup or the Pyro matchups, you see like a Pyromancer will play around their firewall. They know that I cannot shoot anything through the firewall. Kind of similar with Tundra, just because it's a freezing aspect, no one wants to go close to it, right? You just kind of sit near it and play near it while it's active. People have to walk in it, and sometimes they will just throw their lives away and go chilly. like the toxicologist did. We see clouds here. Tundra out. We do immune. 1 outbreak. They have to fly to Tundra and they do get frozen. Hi, Gizmo. What's up, buddy? My dog literally just wants pets right now. Hold on. Okay. I go for the cloud freeze. Looks like they just freeze himself again, so it's okay. But yeah. I just want you to focus basically on like sitting around your flash freeze. Can be beneficial. Here's another fight. Toxicologist. We both try to poke with Tox, none of us are none of us get it off. He gets them off. I cloud when he rushes me. We are freezing his cloud. The flash freeze goes over the cloud range. At least at this part of the map. We get the freeze off. I go shadow step for high ground. We get the ice snipe off when they shadow step. Like I said, the invis seeing is very important. But also I kind of assume they go this direction, you know what I mean? So this comes with experience, I think, fighting toxicologists. Kind of guess where they're gonna go. And you get better at seeing invis. They come hand in hand, I think. Like I said, we both were just poking at the start. They even outpoked me, but luckily I got a nice freeze off and made up. Here's an example of catching a toxicologist before they get to actually vanishing miss. We Tundra, they force them to flash free, or force them to test up away. They try to cloud. This is but because of the way Alacrity works, how it shoots under the frost trail, it will freeze stuff before the ice lance gets to the target. So I freeze the cloud, they end up getting stuck. That's like one scenario. A lot of times you might just end up freezing the cloud after they already go in it, which is okay. You might freeze it while they're inside of it, and then they'll be frozen, or you might freeze it before they even go on it. This is a before you even go on it kind of scenario. So if you get any of those, it's very nice. Helps your case a lot when fighting toxicologists. There's another kind of standard Frostborn fight. 1 second. We'll go for ice trades. We trade ice shots. To be continued. I'm throwing a tox cloud at them. Apply some pressure. This kind of one of the things for Frostborn though, like they didn't expect me to be able to run that fast at them, but because I have ice trails, I can do that. Like I said, also playing on the flash freeze again, they went back in the flash freeze again. Even if they can shoot through it, they are not immune to it if they stop harming me. Sorry, my dog's being needy right now. Yeah, hopefully that gives you an example. If you can get the toxicologist player chilly at all, you have a lot of opportunities to do that. You have your clouds, their clouds, your tundra. So hopefully you can get an opportunity for that. Also, just outpoking them with their own tox, and then ice trading with them. With Tempest is the last class to go over. Yay! Look at that. Okay, like I was saying earlier, Tempest is kind of weird because so many offense are popular with Tempest. I think it really changes the matchup. Like I said, I think Fire is a very easy matchup for Frost players. So is Ice. I think Tox is where it gets kind of tricky. Even then, it is winnable. Here from fighting toxicologists, or sorry, Tempest players. So in these examples, a lot of examples have kind of a recurring theme with the Tempest player. They kind of updraft into me at the start of the fight, which is kind of why I end up winning it. I should have clipped some losses. But like if they end up saving the tornado and don't use it at the start of the fight, it's kind of like a way harder fight. But if you can get them to waste your tornado, it's really nice. This fight basically ends with me going around the corner and finding them. But yeah, you'll see another one too. It kind of comes to me holding high ground. Like right here, I'm holding high ground. You'll see them fly at me and updraft up to me. So positioning is really good, but you can't always get good positioning when you're fighting. Yeah, if they waste a tornado, they lose a lot. What makes Tempest special. They end up wasting so many resources just to try to get to me, and I outtrade them. Another example of holding high ground, slightly different, but you know, still high ground nonetheless. They still tornado at me, you know what I mean? So you see all these fights, kind of a recurring theme. The tornado at the start, they're just kind of wasting resources in like very aggro. If they were to play a more passive, like pokey kind of style with just their corrosion and tox, it comes kind of very hard. Yeah, here's just an example of you cannot shoot through the tox tornado. Where is it? Wait, the tox tornado? Wait, sorry, this is the wrong clip. My apologies. In combat, if someone were to tox tornado, I just cannot shoot through that. They are effectively. I can barely see them, let alone actually shoot through it, but I cannot shoot through it. So it is kind of effective in combat for Tempest players to do that with their toxic gauntlet. For fire, since I don't have clips, I can just kind of explain it. Like fire, like I said, you can't just immune a lot of it with your tundra and stuff. You can't really do anything about that. They can't really outpoke you either because you have tox and they don't have tox. They don't have the corrosion aspect and that like pokey mid-range kind of aspect. And then for ice too, like ice players, usually they'll end up like just updrafting, looking for an ice shot. You can kind of just trade with them and wait for that to happen. Also, like a recurring thing with Tempest players too is that they will, like they have so much movement, right? They have like probably multiple runes, they have updraft, wind jumping. They eventually stand still for a little bit. That's kind of, you just have to wait for that moment and just look for it. And just look for that free ice snipe. It's like your biggest thing. If you get a big snipe like that, it can be very game changing for you. If no one has any questions, we can go over talents quickly. So the main build I run in Clash and solo specifically. I do not really run this build in trios. I think it's a very much solo build and a Clash build. Many of the reason beings is the scav and wreck really synergize well in like a Clash and solos environment. If you can't really secure your kill, it's not really worth going for that really hard trade and like risking your life to be at like health HP, really low health HP to get the scav, the big scav. So I can keep it in solos and solos and squads. Sorry, oh my god, solos and Clash, dude. I cannot speak. But yeah. So I'm gonna just go over every single talent real quick and why they are strong. What do they benefit? What are their cons from Frostborn? Harmony, I think, is a almost must on Frostborn. I'm personally not gonna play Frostborn without Harmony. I say often to people, I don't think you can play Frostborn properly without Harmony. I just don't think. If you don't have Harmony, it's like really hard to get a lot of value out of the class. You can't really skate on your ice. You can't really flash freeze freely. Everything like messes up the ice. Lightning shocks it. Stone freezes you when they break it. So does wind. Toxic has slow. Even fire evaporates the ice. Everything just affects it. If someone boulders you or clouds you while you're inside a flash freeze, you will just get frozen. It is very unfortunate. There's going to be a lot of like icy mist around in the game when you're playing Frostborn, and if you can't just run through it, you're gonna have a bad time just being chilly and frozen all the time. So that's why I really think Harmony is necessary. Yeah, if you don't have it, you're gonna get punished so much for your own kit. You're gonna be like discouraged to use it, and I think Frostborn is not as fun that way. Yeah, that's why my main builds that I always run always have Harmony. But if you really like enjoy Frostborn, you want to run Harmony, there are a couple other builds I'll go over later that involve like Runic and Focus Mana. Still fun builds, I just think are not for me. Okay, Scav is really big. Scav gives you the confidence when you're playing solos or Clash when you're like a 1v1 fight. It gives you the confidence to when you win the fight, you'll get full healed. So if you get 30'd, it won't matter. You should have a way better chance. You can like fully commit to that fight. That's like the main one. It helps meds a little bit too. Because if you are getting kills, then Scav is great. If you don't think you're getting kills that often, you could always go Fortitude too. There's no shame in that. But I think if you get comfortable fighting like this and confident, I think having Scav and Wreck is a really scary combo. We'll go Reckless real quick. Reckless is just a damage mod. It just fits really well. Like your talk slaps when you are at health and you are in those like very clutch scenarios, they end up hitting for over 50, which is very nice. You can 2-hit people when they are also flesh. It's very nice. Your frost has to do over 100 if you have max Reckless. It's just a lot of damage. If you somehow find yourself positioned with like no potions too, with Ice Prism and Reckless, you do so much damage. You can hit for just like over 100 with Ice Prism. It's just so much damage. Talks over 50. Like it comes in very clutch. Also, less mana cost. Also, surprisingly, is very nice too. Just because the Frost Gauntlet takes a lot of mana, so very nice. Yeah, this is the main build. I suggest you run it in Clash and solos. For squads, though, I usually run a variation with Thirsty and Finders or Dex. It really is up to how I'm feeling, or what my other team's builds are. You can also run this build in solos if you want. I would recommend going Dex, not Finders. But Finders just helps you max out all your scrolls on your team. Very nice. Very hard to find all the scrolls for your team. Even if you loot like a very popular area, I think without fighting, very hard to find all the scrolls. And with fighting, can be hard. The only con is like after you're done looting, there's really no value to this talent. It's not very often you do find like potions in chests in the late game, and there's not. The worst part is they're not guaranteed to be shields either. So, but to get your team with full scrolls, if you think that's worth it, definitely worth it for you. Dex can also be really good. Dex just gives you like what's really nice, pointed out to me, when you jump and you want to peek ice at somebody, people don't expect you to jump over like just certain like rocks or like places just because you are higher, just physically because you have higher Dex jump height. So throwing them off is pretty nice. Unless you go a little further when you alacrity hop, very fun. Feels very just like you're just skating around, jumping around. Dex also has rune synergy with Spring Step, Dash, and Shadow Step, making them go a little vertically higher. Spring Step, to get full value to Spring Step, you can Spring Step and then hold, levitate. Doing that's very nice with Dex. You can go even further. You go really far. It's very nice. The only downside for me, like I personally am so used to running around houses and stuff and jumping with normal jump speed. If I have Dex, I usually end up hitting my head on doorway frames and stuff. But it's a habit I'm trying to break. And then Thirsty recovery, I always say it's preference for people. I personally think Thirsty is really great at Frostborn, and I love Thirsty in general. Thirsty, you have so many tools in your kit for Thirsty. You have your Alacrity. You saw me potting earlier on Alacrity, getting pots off that way. You have your Tundra that stalls for 6 seconds. In there too, to get pots off. You have your Frozen Cloud to make cover for you to pot behind. You have so many tools in your kit. If you run Shadow Step, that's another like invis for you to pot. There's just so many options for you. But I really think Thirsty and Frostborn synergize super well, especially in a squad scenario. Healing for your team. If you have communication, it's really nice. But like I said, recovery is still like one of the best talents in the game. You can never go wrong with it. If you're not comfortable with Thirsty, I completely understand going recovery. All you. Okay, the next builds, these are the non-harmony builds. These builds that I do not go personally. How do you be like Elpa? I don't know. You can go a nice 2-2-2 build if you like having Runic. Up to you, like I said, Runic or Recovery or Thirsty, but Runic just lets you have slightly more movement. It's like different kind of movement. So for me, like Harmony, if you go Harmony and you fully get to utilize like Ice Trails and stuff, I think it makes up for having like one less rune slot. But Runic is really nice. It can let you be in situations where you can just Shadow Step, Ice Snipe, Shadow Step, Ice Snipe, which is a very fun way to play Frostborn too. Very clean. I just think if you don't have Harmony, you will find yourself in a lot of I've tried this build a few times. There's just so much frozen mist around. Maybe in a solo scenario could be nicer, less mist. But 42 does come in super clutch, I think. Sometimes you will get just knocked off by like a random corrosion tick or like lightning, but sometimes they'll immune like a really big heavy chunk of damage, like a stone hit or something, or another ice snipe. Maybe a focus mana fireball. So if you do have it maxed out, it's only 30-second cooldown. And the last build that people like to run, and I would recommend running if you really wanted to not go Harmony, would be just this solid build. I think this is a build that feels really good to play. Focus mana, just everyone knows focus mana does. It's just big damage. If you have a Legi Ice plus focus, that's 94 damage on the ice. Legi Ice plus focus plus ice system, that's 118. That is a lot of damage. That is just so much damage. Of course, when you play like this too, you have to play very back, because you don't have the Harmony to guard you, so your Tundra is not as safe. You have to play a lot safer, I think, with this build. And this is not my style, I think. So that's why I'll go this kind of build. Like I said, I'm not like a walking Frost Gauntlet. I'm not a Frostborn player. I don't really trust myself to hit the super far range ice snipes, but if you do, this is a great way to do it. Fervor is still nice, by the way, on ice and toxic. I know people say it doesn't feel great, but it's still very noticeable. Fervor like affects the wind up speed on how fast you like pick up your bow, like pick it up in like charge an ice shot. Not like charge an ice shot, but like pick it up like from like right before you charge it, like that animation. It just makes it feel faster and smoother, and it's just like slightly more DPS. Those are pretty much all the builds I recommend running. Harmony Scav Wreck, Harmony Finders or Dex, and then Thirsty and Recovery, or Runic Fortitude / Scav, and then Thirsty / Recovery, or Focus Fervor, Thirsty Recovery. But that's pretty much everything. Those are all the talents I would run. We already went over the classes. There's no questions. Hopefully you guys learned anything. If you guys have any questions, just DM me on Discord. Search my name. No problem. I have no problem.